Yo, what's up, everybody? It's Rick, and welcome back to Only Football. Tonight on Thanksgiving Eve, we're going to be talking about the history of Thanksgiving and why the Lions and the Cowboys always play on Thanksgiving. We're going to get into the Thanksgiving Day games. Then we're going to go into the rest of our Week 12 prediction, followed by a segment by Kyle and myself called NFL Big Hits, but not exactly what you're thinking of. And then we're going to end off with the chives, little chives with Kyle. Let's get it.
Is up. Happy Thanksgiving, happy Turkey Day, happy football, happy family, happy everything. We're pretty happy here on Only Football. We got our predictions today. Super excited to go through those. I got maybe more upsets than usual.
Ooh.
But we're going to start in the classroom today because Rick is going to educate us. And he told me what he was going to educate us on. And I said, good, I need it. I have no idea the answers to those questions. So Rick, the floor is yours.
All right, let's do it. Everybody get your notebooks, your pens out, because tonight, Kyle's got the big board out. You see, I love that. I love Kyle's always prepared. Tonight, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the history of the NFL on Thanksgiving Day. This kind of was something that I asked myself before the episode. I was like, why do the Cowboys and the Lions play every Thanksgiving without fail?
Even when they suck.
Even when they are terrible, right? And it's a good question, I think, because I feel like a lot of NFL fans, especially newer generation ones, and while I don't put myself in that category, I'm definitely one of the newer generation part of NFL fans. But I asked myself, like we don't know that. I don't know why the Lions play, and it's a great question. So let's start it off with when the very first Thanksgiving game was, and that was back in 1934, the year after the Bears. Yep, those Bears back there won the NFL championship. They were world champions, not a Super Bowl yet.
Sprinkle that in.
Got to sprinkle that in, and there will be a couple more sprinkles. But they were the world champions the year prior, and the following year, a guy by the name of George A. Richards was a radio executive in Detroit. He purchased what was known as the Portsmouth in Ohio Spartans and then moved them to Detroit, called them the Lions. And then in 1934, they played the first Thanksgiving game against the Chicago Bears. And the reason he did that was he was hoping to just attract fans to this team. And I'm, kind of like the Lions have been somewhat recently, not really in like the last couple years. But before that, kind of a shitty team. So it's like, yeah, I could see why you wanted to attract some fans, especially back then.
It's kind of like the special episodes we do on this show. You know what I mean? We're just trying to attract fans because we have a shitty team and we need to do everything we can.
And this is a perfect time to play this clip.
We've definitely gone through some tests and gone through some trials.
We've definitely gone through some tests and some trials. And look, we're going to fail and we're going to succeed, and you guys are going to be along for the ride. So
it's going to be a ride. It's going to be a journey. It's going to be a journey. But I know who I am.
It's going to be worth it at the end. I'm going to tell you that right now because I'm Mr. Unlimited. That was off the cuff. That was not rehearsed. So that was the first ever Thanksgiving game. It was back in 1934, the Lions and the Bears. Now, according to NFL.com, in the 1960s, the NFL was looking for another team to commit to playing on Thanksgiving along with the Lions. The Lions up to this point had done almost 30 years on their own on Thanksgiving every year, year in, year out. The Lions were the only team that played every Thanksgiving Day. While many teams weren't interested, the Dallas Cowboys GM Tex Schramm, what a name, by the way, Tex Tex Schramm.
Text like text message.
No, like text like Texas.
Oh, text. TEX.
Right? Like that
That's
works.
cool.
He believed the publicity of playing on Thanksgiving would be good for his struggling team in 1966, and his decision paid off on the field and at the gate, which is why the tradition has continued for both these teams. So if you're wondering why the Cowboys and the Lions both play on Thanksgiving year in, year out, it was because their owners, their GMs at the time thought it'd bring in money, thought it'd bring in attractions, and now they play every single year, and it has done both for those franchises. And another big reason why the Cowboys are called America's team. I mean, they're not, but that's what they're called.
That's debatable.
That is debatable. That is debatable.
That's
Kyle.
That's pollable. We need to poll that.
We need to poll that.
It's America's team, yet we have no Cowboy fans that have come into this channel. We have Giants, Bears. Basically, if you follow a team that you know won't be in the playoffs, this is your home.
You're in, except for KC. Except for KC.
And JST, who's a Bills and Chiefs fan.
My God.
Yeah, that is funny. America's team, but we haven't found one. Where are these Cowboys fans? Skip Bayless is really the spokesperson for all of them. Apparently.
Honestly, come on in, please. We would love to chat with you guys. All right. Kyle, quick true or false? True or false? Every NFL team has played on Thanksgiving Day.
False.
False. Do you know which team or teams has not played on Thanksgiving Day?
I'm gonna go with the newest teams. I'm gonna go with the Carolina Panthers, the Houston Texans, and the Jacksonville Jaguars.
You are 1/3 correct. The Jaguars are the only team to not play on Thanksgiving, and they won this week.
He just knew.
I wasn't ready. This is bullshit.
Could have sent me a text like, "Hey, you might want to read up on your shit." I'm putting you under the microscope.
But every team has played at least one game on Thanksgiving. Now let's go to the wins and losses, because that's what, playing on Thanksgiving is about. The Lions have the most wins and the most losses on Thanksgiving, which, I mean, it's pretty obvious. They've played for almost 100 years on Thanksgiving. Cowboys? Yeah, more than the Cowboys. The Lions' record on Thanksgiving, 37-44-2. So they don't even have a winning record on Thanksgiving, which
most wins.
Yeah, it's like for 15 years. You're like, oh yeah, I'll just have the Lions game in the background. No big deal.
Who were the Lions playing back then?
God, in the 30s, you're looking at the Packers, not the Cowboys, maybe the Chiefs, Rams, Raiders, Ravens, something like that, probably from there on, from 1934 and on.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Second team, again, pretty obvious. The Cowboys. They have a better winning percentage. They're 32-22-1. And then the third team would be the Bears, baby, 20-15-2.
Wow.
Yep. And then the last team, at least the team in fourth place would be the Packers, 14-20-2. Those are also the only 4 teams with double-digit wins on Thanksgiving Day. So 4 teams, those are the top 4 teams, the top 4 wins, and also the only teams with double-digit wins.
Do you know who the Lions played in 1934 on their first Thanksgiving game?
Oh, God, who was it? The Bears.
The Bears. Do you know who won?
No, I don't actually.
The Bears. They beat the Lions 19-6 in front of 26,000 strong at the University of Detroit Stadium.
Fuck yeah.
November 29th.
Those dumb bitches.
It was 32 years later that the Cowboys joined. That's crazy. I didn't realize
they went 3 decades without another team playing on Thanksgiving.
That's crazy, man.
Insane. Now, there's only 2 teams that have gone winless, and there's 3 teams that are undefeated. Any idea on who those teams who are winless or the undefeated teams are, Kyle?
I know the Broncos are undefeated.
I don't know about that, Jim.
Wait, no. Because I remember there was a game when I was a kid. It's the only
Mhm.
Broncos game I remember on Thanksgiving.
Mhm.
And it went into overtime, and Denver won by a game-winning field goal. And the running back was from the University of Wisconsin.
Oh.
And his name was like, I feel like you would know it.
Mhm.
God damn it. What was his name?
Running back from Wisconsin. Not sure.
He was like really popular back in the day. Ron
Mhm.
Gain.
Oh, that does sound familiar.
Yeah, they won 24-21. And then I remember Josh McDaniels during the Josh McDaniels era we played, but I can't remember if I think we lost.
Oh, yeah, probably. Because the only 3 undefeated teams on Thanksgiving are the Ravens, who are 2-0, the Panthers, who are 1-0, and the Texans, who are 2-0.
Really? The Texans?
Yep. And the only 2 teams who are winless on Thanksgiving are the Bengals and the Bucks. I believe the Bengals are 0-1 or 0-2, and the Bucks are like 0-1 or 0-2 around there as well.
Okay. No, we won that game too. The one where I remembered McDaniels, and that's because during the break, the Broncos were about to score, and they had 3 false starts. And Josh McDaniels goes, "All we're trying to do is run the motherfucking play, 3 straight." And it gets all caught on camera, so he had to go apologize. And I just looked it up. They won 26-6 over the New York Giants.
Oh wow!
Those are the only 2 games in my lifetime I've seen the Broncos. So they're undefeated in my lifetime.
In your eyes, in your heart.
That's why I guessed that, because I'm like, oh shit.
I like it. I like it though. I like it. And I didn't realize the Bears had actually a pretty damn good record in terms of Thanksgiving games. So for all you guys, having Thanksgiving tomorrow with your family, you got your NFL family, you got your actual family who may be NFL fans. Now you got some stats to bring to the table and to argue about. No, the Cowboys have the better record. No, the Lions have the better record. It's the Cowboys, but the Lions have the most wins overall.
Yeah,
so
you can trick them.
Yeah, there's a little something there for you. Also, I forgot to do this at the beginning, but gobble, 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 gobble.
I love that way more than the New York Tears.
So thank you guys for letting me talk about that, because I had the same questions. I was like, why do the Cowboys and Lions always play? Who's got the best record? Blah blah blah. So now you guys know. Now I know. Now Kyle knows.
Now I know.
Yeah,
because I had no idea. So thank you for that segment, Rick.
Of course.
Our next segment is going to be what we do. We do it every week. We go and do it again. You know what week 12 means? Mm-hmm. It means that we are 2/3 through the season. We are 2/3 through the season. We just were like double digits. We're halfway there. Now we're 2/3 of the way there. Mm-hmm. And this is it, Rick. This is it. This is all you got. The famous Tim Tebow speech of going 15 minutes for the rest of your life? Or no, 30 minutes.
We got 30 minutes for the rest of our lives.
Well, that's the actual scenario here. You got from right now to January to either win your football games or lose them. And B, how does the 2023 fill in the blank want to be remembered? And this is it, man. You, especially in the AFC, we got a group of teams that are all so close in the hunt. And, only one team, the Patriots, are really not in it. Everyone else is fighting and clawing, and there's only 7 spots available. So these predictions become increasingly more important as we move on. And we're going to start with the Thanksgiving football games. And the very first game, one that some people are having, honestly, some surprising picks. And it's the Packers going into Detroit. We talked about the Lions. They play every year. And they're playing again this year. And this time it's going to be the Packers going in. And look, the concerns are that the Lions played a game against a Chargers team that wasn't very good. And then the Packers just beat that Chargers team. And the Lions almost got beat by the Bears. And now the Packers, who just beat that Chargers team that the Lions were struggling with, they're going to play that Packers team. You get it? It's like Jordan Love is kind of increasingly getting better. He said increasingly twice, but he is getting better week in and week out. And is it possible the Packers pull off any kind of upset in Detroit?
Oof, yeah. Oh God, this is such a tough game because I was reading everything that you're saying. People were having, oh, the Packers might win. Jordan Love has been doing well. He had his best game last week, right? And the Lions, they came up with a clutch win against the Bears, in which they strip sacked late in the game. They got a safety. They got the ball back. They just kneeled it from there. Victory formation. But we have to look at that Lions game in total. Jared Goff threw 3 interceptions. Yes, a couple of them, or maybe one or two. One of them was a bad, look on the wide receiver, right? But Jared Goff still threw 3 interceptions. The defense for the Lions has not looked great recently. That wasn't even just last week. It's been a few weeks now that the Lions defense has given up a ton of points after we said that the Lions have looked good on defense. They got a lot of guys there. Aiden Hutchinson is in his second year, is disrupting passers, but that defense is looking not great right now, and especially late in the season. Like you said, we're already 2/3 through the way after this week, so it depends on how the defense wants to do, how well they want to do for the rest of the season. That's going to determine a lot of things. But they were still able to come away with the win, and that, again, at the end of the day, that's what matters. They got the dub. Jared Goff looked a little rough. The defense looked rough. And Love and the Packers have looked good. It's been 1 week maybe that they've looked good, that they've looked like more of a complete team, really. And like we said, Love had his first 300-plus yard game, and the Packers' first 300-plus yard passing game from a quarterback since 21 with Aaron Rodgers. So this team is like, it's looking good, and then it looks bad, and then it looks great. I think the Packers are going to put up a good fight against this Lions team, but I think the Lions at home on Thanksgiving, they know what's going on. They're going to win the division this year, and they want to do it on a big primetime game like this year. I think they beat the Packers at home 31-23 Lions.
I can respect that. And like, no one's picking the Packers. Nobody.
Mm-hmm.
The Lions have all the momentum. They have the better team. They're at home. It's Thanksgiving. The fans have so much to be happy about, so much to be thankful for, if you will. And I think that the crowd's going to be really into it, and I think that the Lions are gonna do really well offensively. Mm-hmm. However, I think that the Packers are going to do well offensively. I think this is a shootout, and right now the Lions are favored by 7.5 points. Mm-hmm. I'm taking the Packers plus 7.5, and I'm taking the over. I think the Lions do win the game, but I think it's going to be like a last-second field goal. Now, we all know that the Lions have the ability to smoke anybody they want pretty much any given Thursday. But
I hate you.
I just think right now, the way the Lions have been playing, it hasn't been that promising. We don't talk about it because they beat Chicago. We don't talk about it because they made that last-second field goal against the Chargers. But had that kick been missed, had Chicago been able to hold on, we'd be talking about a Lions team that's 0-2 in their last 2 games and a Packers team that just beat the Chargers. Yeah. And, the Lions are going to avoid that conversation because they got those wins in those moments. And that's how winning is, man. I'm from a guy that's on a 4-game winning streak. There's so many games that almost were lost, but no one cares. They're like, you won, so we're not going to talk about it. And winning does kind of heal everything. The Lions are probably going to get the win, but I think it's going to be closer than 7.5.
Oh, okay. I like it. I got them over. I got them at, what is that, 8 points right now, the Lions winning. So, yeah.
Ooh, you got an 8-point victory, and it's at 7.5.
Yeah, 8-point victory. And that's without looking at the lines, too. Ooh, I'm so good at this.
My bold prediction is that the Lions are not going to intercept Jordan Love once in this whole game. Because they picked him off twice in week 4. And they've been, I think they're like 4th or 5th in takeaways. And Love hasn't had consecutive games without an interception since week 1 and 2. So that is kind of a bold prediction that I agree with, that I found. I think Jordan Love's going to do a good job of taking care of the football. And I think he's going to have a game where even if the Packers lose, we're like, okay, they got their guy.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I like that. That's a good bold prediction.
Yeah, because I really do, in the beginning of the season, my bold prediction was that Jordan Love was going to be the guy for Green Bay, and he's going to be better than we expected. And he started off doing pretty well, but then, a 4-game slump. And I don't really think that matters. You got a guy that has never played in the NFL for, week in and week out. It's going to take some time. It's really just about how much you're seeing improvement. I think he's going to take another step on Thursday tomorrow.
I can agree with that. Yeah, unfortunately, I can agree with
that. Our next game is going to be the Washington Commanders at the Dallas Cowboys, another popular game. Well, not really just the Cowboys part, but them playing a divisional. Usually you get one divisional game. I think last year there was only one divisional rivalry on Thanksgiving. We have 3 this week. We talked Lions, Packers. We got Commanders, Cowboys here, NFC Beast showdown, and the Cowboys are trending up. The Commanders are trending down. I think this one's pretty self-explanatory, but I'll let you go first.
Yeah, this one is actually very, very self-explanatory. I've got the Cowboys beating the Commanders 35-17. They're doubling the points the Commanders are going to get. The Howell is going to have just the toughest day against this pass rush by the Cowboys. You look at his O-line, and it's something we always talk about. Bill, what's up, man? Bill and Ginger in the chat. Bill and Ginger, love it. We've talked about their offensive line and how bad it is, like almost week after week, really, right? You couple that with the fact that they get rid of their 2 best young defensive pieces, the Commanders, and it's just been kind of downhill for Ron Rivera and the Commanders. I mean, they got destroyed by the Giants last week, and that's not a good look for a team coming into Thanksgiving, just getting destroyed by the least scoring team in the NFL right now. They put up like 30 plus points or something on them. So I just don't see this Commanders team looking at all like an NFL team against this Cowboys team, because the pass rush is going to be there. You know what I'm saying? You're going to see Cooper Rush early in the 4th quarter in this game again. I called it a couple weeks ago whenever Cooper Rush did come in. I think this is another Cooper Rush game where he, passes the ball 7-8 times in the 4th quarter or something like that. But it's mostly just victory formations for the Dallas Cowboys. Dak is going to throw for 3 touchdowns. Pollard's going to rush for 1. And Deron Bland, he's going to get a pick, but no 6. Dallas Cowboys are going to win 35-17 on Thanksgiving night. Or day.
This is going to be a bold game. Now, this is the only game I'm not streaming, and you guys could probably guess why. I know that this isn't going to be pretty. And Rick, watch what I'm about to do the ticker. You're gonna read this and be like, holy crap. Now, Justin Fields and Russell Wilson were tied for the most sacks last year. They were 50 and 51. I think Fields was 51. Russ was 50.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Commanders quarterback Sam Howell has been sacked a league high 51 times this season. More bad news for Washington. The Cowboys have generated pressure on a league high 39% of opponent dropbacks. He already totaled last season's total.
He already totaled last season's total. And then the Cowboys are the most successful team at generating pressure in the NFL.
Wow.
This is what we call a concoction of bad news for Commanders fans.
Yeah.
I'm a Sam Howell guy. This is not going to be a good day for him.
Same.
I still think Sam Howell has the ability to make really good plays. I think he could still throw for 200 yards, just doing miraculous stuff, running for his life and throwing good balls. But that's what he's going to be doing. He's going to be running for his life. He may throw a couple of good balls mixed in there because he's a good quarterback. He really is. And he's going to make plays, but the Cowboys are just too much for this Commanders team to handle. They're going to score offensively. I think CeeDee Lamb's going to have at least 3 receptions over 20 yards. I think he's going to have over 100 yards and a touchdown. I think he's going to have a game. And hopefully there's no Zeke. So hopefully either Tony Pollard or CeeDee Lamb jump in the Salvation Army bucket, because I don't want that tradition to go away. And it's not really Thanksgiving Cowboys without somebody dipping their head out of the Salvation
Dude, that would be so awesome to see. And I won't be surprised. I would not be surprised if you have a combination of either Dak or CD, one of them with Micah Parsons eating a turkey leg on the sideline at the end of this game.
Any chance that this game is like 34-31 nail biter? Sam Howell just has a really good ass game.
Oh man, like 3-ish weeks ago.
Maybe I'm just thinking maybe we're getting a little too comfortable with the Cowboys.
And like I believe me, because I'm one person that's like that too. I'm like, no, this one's going to be a nail biter. I think the Cowboys are rolling and they're going to continue to roll. 3 weeks ago, you asked me this question. I say, yeah, this is probably going to be a high scoring game, and the winner wins by a touchdown or less. You know
they
what I
almost
mean?
beat
Like
the Eagles twice.
They did, but I think the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys are going to roll, dude. Honestly.
All right. Well, our next game is the 49ers, who are rolling right now after beating Jacksonville, and then after getting the dub against the Buccaneers at home. They're going to Seattle, who you were mentioning they missed that kick. If that kick goes in, Seattle's number 1 in the division, and they're tied at 7-3. So this game is huge. Geno Smith has a bruised elbow. I'll look once you talk. I'll see if there's an update on that. I'm pretty sure they're going to go with him. If he was good enough to come back on the last drive, he's probably good enough to go on Thursday. You know how I feel about that. I think that this is a 49ers win without him. But then you brought up a good point that the Seahawks are going to have a tough game every single week. And, if none of their games are going to be easy wins, including this one, I just think the 49ers are the best team in the NFL. So if you could not play Geno and have him rest for 17 days, maybe you get a more healthy Geno to battle that end stretch. But you're kind of siding with, no, this game is an important divisional game. You got to have Geno play. So what do you think about all this?
Yeah, we talked about that, and I was like, I don't think as just a team, when you saw what happens when you don't have Geno out there, you see what kind of games are being played. I just don't think as a team, or as Pete Carroll, I should say, you decide to just sit Geno Smith against the top divisional team right now, right? Like, you were second, they're first. It is a top-heavy NFC, like we have talked about, and the Seahawks seem to already have their ticket punched, but you'd never want to say that too early until it is absolutely 100% certain you are going to the playoffs, because they do have a tough stretch of games. I just think you still don't sit Geno in this. I think Geno has to come out, play a very good game, and it really is going to come down to whether Geno or not plays, that the Seahawks may or may not have a chance in this game. The 49ers on the other side have dominated their last 2 games, and this is still going to be a tough divisional matchup, like for the Seahawks and for the 49ers. Don't get that twisted. I don't think the 49ers are going to come out and roll over their competition like we just talked about with Dallas and the Commanders. I think the 49ers are going to have a bit of a tough time with the Seattle Seahawks, even though their defense has been mid to low tier in like yards per game and points per game. I still think it'll be tough for the 49ers to get like anywhere near what they've been the last 2 weeks. I mean, I'm taking the 49ers 27-20, so they're still going to win this, but this is still going to be a very tough game for them. And again, it all depends on whether or not Geno plays or not, that it's going to be close.
Yeah, and I'm taking the 49ers. I don't think it's going to be close. I think the 49ers are a much better team than the Seahawks. I think it's going to be close at halftime. I think the Seahawks might even be winning. I'll say 16-17 at halftime. Final score 41-17 49ers.
Wow. Kyle's just like fucking just stick the knife and twist it. Let's go.
And if you think that I'm crazy, like that would never happen, go ahead and look up Seahawks 49ers playoffs last year, because in the divisional, or I believe that was that the wild card round?
I think it was a wild card round. It was on a Saturday.
In the wild card round, that is exactly what happened. I think the 49ers are too much for this team to handle. Now, they do have both of their offensive guards questionable right now, so that could bring some issues. But the Seahawks don't necessarily bring a ton of pressure, and their defense is I think they're going to get cooked, man. CMC's healthy, Debo's healthy, Brock Purdy's playing good football. I think
Mhm.
that this is going to be a high scoring game for the 49ers. I don't know about how much the Seahawks are going to fight back. I expect a fight, primetime
Mhm.
football. No one's rolling over on primetime, but
Mhm.
they weren't trying to roll over in the playoffs last year. So I just think the 49ers are just such a better team. And the
Yeah.
problems that they had 2 weeks ago, they're not here anymore. And had the 49ers not lost those games in a row, this would be a team that, very well could be undefeated. It almost seems like that was just kind of like a bump in the road. It's not the whole road's going to be pretty smooth. The one bump, I think they already went over it. And I think they're back to kind of the way we viewed them when we said this team could go 22-0.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna change my mind now, because they're playing the Seahawks, who just lost to a Rams team with nothing really great going on over there. I mean, they're not bad, but come on, if you're going to beat the 49ers, you got to beat the Rams.
Yeah.
I think that's fair to say.
100%.
And then the Seahawks, didn't they get rolled by the Ravens too? But the Lions
Yes, they
did
did.
too.
Yep.
So I just don't know if the Seahawks are in the tier yet that the 49ers are at. 49ers Ravens is like going to be a great Super Bowl.
Yeah, because I mean, you saw what the Eagles and the Chiefs played like, and the Ravens are in the AFC, and they've been able to roll two. When they rolled over the Seahawks are divisional leaders, and they rolled over the Detroit Lions, another divisional leader. So it really, it's like you said, there's tiers to this shit, and it seems like the Eagles,
There's
the
levels to this
49ers,
shit.
and the Ravens, there's levels to this shit.
We don't
And to a certain extent, the Chiefs, those are probably the four big teams right now in terms of who's going to get to the Super Bowl. As far as this game again, though, what happens with Geno, the Seahawks are going to live or die by Geno.
You heard it here first. Live or die by Geno. Sorry, Drew Lock, but that's just where we're at right now.
Oh, they'll die with Drew Lock. They will die.
This might be a good opportunity for him, Bob.
I don't know about that, Jim.
That's my favorite. It's absolutely my favorite one. And as you guys can see on the bottom, this was Pete Carroll. This article came out 10 minutes ago. So Smith did quite well today. We rested him for most of the week in terms of throwing, and he did very well today. So good. It sounds like Geno Smith's going to be the starting quarterback. I feel comfortable enough to tell you guys he's going to be playing. I mean, it's a bruise at the end of the day. Sometimes you just got to get the sand out. You know what I mean? Go to aisle 5 and get your Vagisil. And
you're triacting like a man. But you
was that? Oh, Triacta. Is that the one you said the other day?
Yeah.
Triactin.
I was triacting like a man.
I was thinking so hard today. I'm like, what was it? I'm going to ask him when we do this live.
But you almost want to not play on Thanksgiving. You want to play on Sunday with this bruise. Like you really do. Like God, you hate this.
This timing is terrible. Another team that has really bad timing right now is a team that is almost going to eliminate themselves from the playoffs and now needing to win or basically get out. They take on the Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins are going to the New York Jets MetLife Stadium, the one that they share with the Giants, their older brother. They're going to be taking on Miami, who I guess kind of struggled against the Raiders, and the Raiders were feisty, but I don't know how I feel about this Miami Dolphins team, to be totally honest. I think what happened, and this was a really good point that somebody brought up in the comment section. It was actually somebody that brought it up about their husband. It was the wife saying what he said. And I was like, your husband's a genius. Will he come on the podcast? She said after the week 3 Broncos game, Miami fans became so accustomed to scoring that when they only score 20 or when they only score 27, people think that the Miami Dolphins are actually not doing well. Like in the Chiefs game, like they like Mike McDaniel, he said in the press conference, they were like, because you guys didn't perform very well against the Chiefs. And he's like, what do you mean didn't perform very well? And he was like, we had 400 yards of offense in that game.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, I guess that's a compliment that you think so highly of us that 400 yards is a bad day. And an extent, everyone's right. Like, we are kind
Yeah.
of hard on Miami because they made their ceiling 70 points against the Broncos. And it was like, holy crap, dude, this team is going to be the best offense ever. And, you know, then they only win by a couple points here and there, and they lose by a couple. I think there's some truth to that. I'm taking the Jets as my upset.
Oh, no.
The Jets are going to, at home, get this win over the Miami Dolphins. I think their defense is going to have an amazing day. People are going to want to hit the panic button on the Dolphins, but you got to realize there's nothing scarier than a desperate team. Aaron Rodgers is jogging on the treadmill. He's showing up at the facility. Everyone can smell that he's getting ready to take the field. All he wishes is that there's something to play for. And and I think the Jets are, I don't know if they're going to be able to go on a run, but I'm taking this as my first upset of the week.
Wow. When you said upsets, that you had a ton of them, I was honestly not expecting this when I was thinking the Sunday slate. Here's the reason why I think you and a lot of other people, especially Jets fans, are going to be like, I told you so early in the game, because Tim Boyle is starting for the Jets. Salah has finally sat Zach Wilson. He said, that is fucking enough. That is enough, right? Not those words, but he's like, yeah, I'm going to make a change. Tim Boyle is going to start for the Jets, regardless of whether they receive the opening kickoff or defer. Their first drive, Tim Boyle is going to look like the savior the Jets needed all season long. He's going to drive down the field and get a touchdown for the Jets. And that's the only time the Jets are going to score a touchdown all fucking game, dude. The Miami Dolphins are going to actually play a complete football game, because they need to prove, and maybe they don't think so, but I feel like us as fans believe they need to prove that they don't just beat up on bad teams. This Jets defense, while the offense is bad, the defense is going to be one of those things that they have to overcome. It's like how you were talking about the 49ers bump in the road. They've gone through that. This is something that the Miami Dolphins have to overcome, of another good defense. They weren't able to do it against the Chiefs. They weren't able to do it against a couple other teams. They have to do it against this Jets defense. Yes, the Jets defense was just blown out by the Bills last week, but I mean, after so many weeks of just being that good, you're going to get one of those passes. And it was the Bills coming off a very bad loss. They just fired their offensive coordinator. They want to prove that the Bills are that good. So the Jets gave up a ton of points last week. This week, it's going to be a lot tougher. And I think the score is going to show it. But I still have the Dolphins winning this game against this Jets defense. The offense, again, like I said, they're gonna go on to score a touchdown and never score another touchdown the rest of this game. I got the Dolphins 24-13 winning in MetLife.
24-13.
Kyle loves it.
I mean, what do we know about Tim Boyle? You know what I mean? We don't know much about him.
Nothing, dude.
What if he's good? I'm always rooting for a pleasant surprise. You know, I'm like,
even with like Drew Lock coming in Seattle, I was like, hey, you never know, man. I mean, you might get him down for a touchdown. Tim Boyle last week came in for a little bit. I was like, you never know, man. I love those stories.
I do too. And I think the game being at home on Black Friday, this is not a Sunday game. This is a Black Friday game. And I think there's going to, it's the first ever. So, I mean, there's just some added juice to this game. The kind of juice that a team really needs to upset a good team like the Dolphins. And who knows, man, it's no one's picking that pick. It's Dolphins across the board and any website that you try to find this game. But
except here on Only Football.
But yeah, man, it's probably going to be, not a hard game for most people to predict, but our next game is going to be really difficult. And I'm going to pull this up. It's a little different, but you'll see why. Saints -110, Falcons -110. That's the money line. And that is the betting way of saying that you're taking the same risk, whether you pick the Saints or whether you pick the Falcons. In other words, don't touch it. And I look at this game And easily, Rick, I think to myself, absolutely don't touch it. Don't look at it. Don't think about it. Don't think about singing about touching it. Just leave it alone. Now, the Falcons need to get a win. And we talked about how this division is so weak that anybody could win it. Besides the Panthers, the Saints, the Falcons, and the Buccaneers are all in a match right now. And in these type of games, I got to go with the home team. And by the way, I need Chris Olave to have a good game. And I think I could see that happening. Chris Olave is a really good receiver, really, really, really good. And if him and Derek Carr are they have that chemistry, but the Falcons don't have that with anybody. So I'm inclined to take the Saints just because I'm like, well, there's something I can believe in Chris Olave and Derek Carr, and Alvin Kamara and all that. But I just don't feel great about it because the Falcons are at home and everybody knows that they could get a playoff berth by simply just winning games like this.
Yes.
And I think that's going to bring a lot of positive energy for the Falcons. And I'm leaning Falcons, but you guys know how I truly feel about it.
Kyle feels as good about the Falcons as Vegas feels, apparently. -110 on the money line. I looked at this game and I was thinking the same thing. I was like, how the fuck can anyone pick a winner in this game? Like, it's going to be a tie probably, right? Like, we have to look at this. We have to go into this game fully expecting that this can be a tie, the first tie of this season. Like, we have to go into this game fully thinking that it's a possibility. This is so bad. This is so bad on so many levels. The Falcons quarterback, they both suck. Ritter and what's his face, Heineke, both have not done well this season. Heineke, even in his spot starts, in his substitutions for Ritter, hasn't looked great. He's brought some spark, but he hasn't been amazing. Sometimes with Bijan Robinson, you get that dog of a football running back, and then sometimes he fumbles and you don't see him for the rest of the game because Arthur Smith is like, you're in my doghouse now, right? Sometimes you see Drake London. Sometimes you see what's his name, the other tight end,
Kyle Pitts.
And then for majorities of the games, you don't see them. It's like, what is going on with this offense? On the other side with the Saints, dude, it's like Derek Carr was supposed to come in, and I said it when the trade happened or when they signed him. I said Derek Carr is going to come into New Orleans, win the division, go into the playoffs with this team. He's going to bring a stability team. His teammates are going to love playing for him. Dude, you got wide receivers for him, just like getting into trouble 2 years in a row. Like, what does Derek Carr do to his wide receivers, right? Like, that's one of the running jokes right now. But Chris Olave, Michael Thomas, like, they've just not been as awesome with Derek Carr as a lot of us expected. This game's going to come down to a game-winning field goal, and I think Younghoe Koo is going to do it in the fourth quarter of this game. But I think, unfortunately, the Saints are going to go have enough time to get down the field for Groupie, their kicker, to also get a field goal to tie it in the fourth quarter. This game, it goes into overtime, but I've got the Saints winning 23-20, 3 straight field goals in the last minutes of the fourth quarter into overtime. I think the Saints win at 23-20.
Damn. That's, and to call overtime is probably like the ballsiest predictions a person can make, in my opinion. Because you're just like, that doesn't happen very often. But I agree. This could definitely go into overtime. I'm going to be honest. I feel like picking the Saints. Like, sometimes I feel like it's like, don't be different. don't be different. Like, I'm fighting it. It's like, why are you fighting it? And it's like, well, I think it's because I picked the Falcons to win the division. So I want it to come true, but we got Lily in the house. What's up, Lily? But man, I just look at the Saints coming off a bye week, healthy, and I just think Chris Olave is going to have a big game. I'm starting him on my fantasy team over, I think it was Devontae Adams, somebody really big. Yeah. Because I just have a feeling, when you get those feelings with your roster, you got to go with it.
I got a feeling.
Oh no, I flexed him over Derrick Henry. That's what I did.
Oh, perfect move.
Yeah, so I'm excited for this game. this is going to be a lot of fun. We said Packers Saints is going to be so much fun, and the Commanders Cowboys, it's a game. And then after that, though, the Seahawks and 49ers, fucking grand slam.
Yeah.
And then we get on Friday this game, which is going to have serious playoff implications. The winner of this game is going to be in first place in the division.
Yeah.
You know,
That's
so this
so
is a
crazy
huge
to
game.
say.
That is a playoff game. That is the definition of the playoffs. You win, you're in, because we all know that there's no wild card spot for second place in the NFC South. They're just not good enough. There's only one spot, and it's going to be the division winner. It's going to be games like this that dictate it. So I'm super excited to have so many playoff type games before we even get to Sunday. I'm talking just tomorrow and Friday. I'm fucking so stoked for it. Our next game is going to be another really important game. Very, very, very important. Okay. And when I first looked at this game, I thought it was pretty simple. I was like, oh, I know who I'm picking. I know why I'm picking them. But then I'm starting to not feel so confident about my pick because major changes have happened. And which game am I talking about, you may ask? I'm talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers going into Cincinnati to take on the Bengals without Joe Burrow. And that is the big difference right now. The Pittsburgh Steelers are 6-4. They find a way to win these games. They're ugly ass games. They fired Matt Canada. They're trying to see if that can maybe provide us some kind of spark. Cincinnati, on the other hand, I think is a really great roster, but I just don't know, how well we can expect the backup quarterback who's going to be
Jake Browning.
Yeah, Jake Browning. It's going to be such a tough defense for him. I think I'm leaning towards the Steelers, but the game is in Cincinnati. Fuck it, give me the Bengals.
Fuck it, give me the Bengals. Yeah, man, this game's a tough one. And like you said, going into this week, prior to what happened last week with Joe Burrow, I would have said the same thing. I was like, yeah, give me the Bengals all day. This team cannot do anything offensively. The Steelers I'm talking about, right? But two major things happened, like you said. Joe Burrow got injured on Thursday Night Football against the Ravens, and the Steelers head coach, oh my God, why am I blanking on his name right now?
Which one?
The Steelers head coach, Mike Tomlin.
Yeah.
He finally fired Matt Canada. And I was watching, or I was listening to the Pat McAfee show. Wherever the Pat McAfee show went, they were yelling, "Fire Matt Canada, fire Matt Canada." And I was like,
shit.
The entire nation, not just Pennsylvania, not just Pittsburgh, not just Steelers fans, the entire United States wanted this guy gone. You heard chants all over, and they finally did it. This might be the best addition by subtraction that the Steelers are going to have all year. I just don't think it's going to be enough for this offense without its offensive coordinator to win this game. I think it's going to be a huge game for Mixon with the Bengals. And I think Jake Browning has a decent game managing type of game. And he might throw a touchdown. I think he's going to try to force feed Jamar Chase, but I think this is going to be a huge, huge run game for Mixon because that's kind of what they're going to have to do to win this, right? They're going to have to go to their guy. And like I said, Jake Browning might be able to hit some receivers and really just kind of focus on Jamar Chase. I'm going to go with the Bengals in this one too. I'm going to go 21-14, a real, 3 touchdowns to 2 touchdowns type of game. I hope Jaylen Warren is going to be another one that's going to very much be affected in a positive way from Matt Canada getting off this team. Him and Najee Harris, I think, are going to both have big games as well. You're going to see a lot of running in this game, a lot of old school defense and a lot of old school running game offense type stuff going on in this game.
Yeah, I agree with all that. So you are going with the Bengals and Joe Mixon have a big game?
Yep, 21-14 Bengals.
That is pretty bold, and I can tell you why. I'm looking at the NFL predictions right now. There's Ali, Brooke, Dan, Gennaro, and Tom. They all are picking the Steelers, but every single one of them has a weird score. I'm going to go through them: 18-15, 19-16, 16-13, 22-16, 20-17, which is like everyone agrees about one thing. Not just that the Steelers are going to win, but that it's going to be ugly.
Yeah.
And I could definitely see this game getting ugly. Like the division, right? AFC North. You know what I mean? Like
exactly.
Tom Grassi had a reaction video, and it was the funniest shit he did because he does these skits, and it was a Cleveland Browns fan, and it was like his reaction to the win, and the Browns fan goes, "If you don't like this game, then you don't like AFC North football." And then he goes, "Yeah, I'm not particularly a fan either." It was so
actually
funny.
Now that I say it and hear it, yeah, I don't like it either.
You don't like this. You don't like AFC North football. Yeah, I'm not a fan either. But that's true. Even fans are like honest about it. Like, yeah, it's ugly. And look, I'm seeing my team win some kind of similar.
Yeah.
And but there's nothing ugly about winning, and that's the truth. So I think this is going to be a great game. Now, it's interesting for playoff implications. It's like, what am I really cheering for? Because if this division is going to have the Ravens in the playoffs, and then the Steelers and the Bengals and the Browns are all like in the playoffs right now. So I look at this and I'm like, well, don't I need to cheer for like somebody to start losing, for my team to get in?
And
it's like, well, which team is that? And it's like, well, who's more likely to lose a lot of their games? And it's like, you got the Steelers, and you think the Bengals without Joe Burrow. And then I feel like Cleveland's going to start losing too. I think, take a screenshot of the AFC North in the playoff picture right now, because I think it's possible that by the end of the season, only one or two teams, I think the Steelers and the Ravens are going to be in the playoffs. I think that the Bengals, because they don't have Joe Burrow, and Cleveland are not quite good enough to get in. But it is going to be something that, we're going to be monitoring week in and week out. Like, there's no way that all these teams can keep on winning. And it feels like, wait, aren't they playing each other all the time? Like, is it like every single Sunday we talk about an AFC North showdown?
I was going to say the exact same thing, dude. I was like, not only do you have a good point in saying, like, there's no way these teams just keep winning, right? Like, there's no, like, these guys got to lose. Like, it's got to be a top heavy team in the AFC North. I really do think it's the Ravens now, because the Browns without Deshaun Watson, and we saw the offense that they had, right? The Pittsburgh Steelers got rid of Matt Canada. Can Jalen Warren and Najee Harris really be those guys? And then obviously you got the Bengals losing Joe Burrow. Like, it's going to be tough for those three teams to even make a case for it. But yeah, like you said, take a snapshot right now of what the records and where they are in the playoff picture, because it might be completely different by week 18.
Yeah, and don't leave the Ravens out of this. Like, oh, they're just going to run away with this division. Like, maybe, but I don't know if they're going to be a first seed when it's all said and done, and that's where they're at right probably. Now.
Hopefully.
Hopefully. What do you mean? Is that what you want?
Yeah.
You want that because of our debate.
Purple and gold, baby.
No, you're still mad about our Lamar debate that we had.
Yeah, that's true. Views. That was a great debate. That had a lot of views. I love that one.
Yeah, man, that's what the people love.
People love. Fuck you, Kyle.
Here's another really good debate, and we could have it right now. And this reminds me of that guy that has a sign and it says "Change my mind" or whatever.
Oh yeah.
The Houston Texans are the best team in the AFC South. Change my mind?
Woo.
Now, wait a second, Bob. Who's supposed to be the underdog here? Jacksonville going on the road to play Houston with a more established quarterback, I think. The CJ Stroud guy's doing really good. It's possible that his 3 interception game's already behind him, and we can come to expect more of the beginning. I don't really know what to do with this game. I'm going to go with the Jaguars. I said this earlier. And I feel like I've had to say it, if not every week, maybe one off week every 4 weeks. But I picked Jacksonville to be the number 1 seed in this whole AFC, and they're going to do it by winning all of the games that look like this. And they've been doing that, and I've been saying that. I'm going to keep saying that, and hopefully Jacksonville keeps on doing that. Jacksonville goes to Houston and gets the win.
Oh, wow. Oof, this was a tough one too. Because the Texans, I believe from what I'm reading here, The Texans have won 10 of the last 11 games against the Jaguars. And you saw they blew them out earlier this year, right? And that was kind of one of those games where we're like, is CJ Stroud that damn good? And he has proven since that game, yeah, he's actually pretty damn good. But Trevor Lawrence last week in the Jaguars were able to kind of right the ship a little bit, right? They're leading the division right now. And like you said, this is for the division. This is one of those games where you talked about. This is one of those playoff type of games in week 12. And it's so awesome that we get it. I don't know who to pick. This one was another tough one, kind of like it's similar, but not at all like the Saints and Falcons, which I don't know who to pick, but the level of NFL like type teams are so different. I think the Texans take the dub at home. I think CJ Stroud is another great game. I think this is going to be a close one.
Wow.
This is going to be like, I'm talking close. I'm talking 33-31. Texans beat the Jaguars. The Jaguars get a score late when they're at 33-24. They get a touchdown late to get up to 31. They try the onside. That fails. Their defense needs to make a stop in 3 downs. They cannot do it. I think the Texans at home are going to win by just 2 points.
And Crafty Southpaw makes a really good point about how the Jags, even when the Texans weren't good, struggled with the Texans.
Yep.
But I kind of look at this. Remember last year we said it was always the Jags. And then with the Lions, we had the brand new Lions.
Yeah.
and to a certain extent, I'm willing to, at least me personally, and I can respect this point, but I'm willing to throw away the history because when you draft a guy like Trevor Lawrence, he comes in as your new franchise quarterback. Doug Peterson, this is a totally new era of football. And meanwhile, Houston has just begun their new era with DeMeco Ryans and CJ Stroud, which makes this game extremely interesting. Now, Houston being at home is definitely like a point to Houston, which is going to be huge in this game. But I think that this could also be a very humbling game for the Texans. And look, you know that we love underdog story. We always cheer for the underdog. Like when it looked like what's his name?
The quarterback for the Texans?
Yeah, CJ Stroud. When he started doing really good, we were like, oh, that's awesome. It's gonna be a great story. And now we're all kind of bought in, just like we are with the Lions. But the real question is, are the Texans there yet to where we can confidently say like they should win this game? They should be the favorites to win the game.
Yeah.
We're not even calling it an upset anymore. And I just feel like maybe we have kind of bought in a little too quick. Now, I'm not saying the Texans aren't good. They're a top 12 team right now. But if the Jaguars are a top 5 team, let's not throw that away just because there's a new shiny thing over here. Like, I like the red helmets. I like everything about the Texans. I think they look cool. I think their quarterback's awesome. I love DeMeco Ryans. Like, it's a lot of fun. But this Jacksonville team almost beat the Chiefs in the playoffs last year, and they beat themselves really with all the drops and the goal line fumbles.
Yes.
And I'm not willing to just throw that away because I just don't want to be the moment of sports, what do you call it? Like a slave of the moment, or just like you get so locked in what is going on right now that you don't
want to call yourself Rick.
Is that what you say? Also, the Texans, they're not a great rushing team. I believe Houston is ranked 24th. They're getting 99.5 yards per game, and Jacksonville is 4th in stopping the run in the league. So I think that's going to end up making Houston one-dimensional, and they're going to have to rely on their passing offense probably a lot. And if you look at passing attempts, Houston's 10th, about 35 passing attempts per game. So they are going to probably become, one-dimensional, in my opinion, against Jacksonville. And if you look up opponent passing yards per game, Jacksonville is 29th, giving up 254 passing yards. So I do like your score, 31-33. However, I'm gonna flip who wins and say Jacksonville.
Oh, okay. So high scoring game, but Jacksonville's got it. And the -1.5, like you gotta like that. You know what I mean? In our predictions too. But I do like this comment here by Crafty Southpaw. So shout out Crafty Southpaw. Singletary has quietly strung together some big games. He has. I mean, we talked about Singletary on the Bills, how he didn't really have success with them. Came to the Texans. Obviously, you have their other running back there. I forgot I'm forgetting his name at the moment, but you got Singletary too, and he's strung together 2 games in a row over 100 yards. So while I think that the Jags, yes, they have a very good run defense, I still think that the Texans can be one of those teams that maybe has much better chances against that run defense with their 2 running backs and the pass offense for both these teams. It's going to be good. It's going to be a very, very good game.
Boo!
Boo this man. Boo.
I think the Texans come in swinging. Jax has less to gain for this than Houston does, since Houston has never been in this predicament. Yeah, I just feel like, knowing the mindset of Jacksonville, they don't feel like they've earned shit. You know what I mean? Like they are like, we haven't done anything yet. And I don't think that they're not the Chiefs or the Eagles or a team that could become complacent because all they do is win. They just got smoked by the 49ers. Enough humble pie to last them through the winter. Yeah. I do think that Jacksonville's not going to forget about that. And I think if anyone gets humbled in this game, it's going to be Houston. But that's why it's our predictions. We don't know.
That's right.
We don't know. And I see that some of you guys got Jacksonville. I think most of you guys got Houston. And I think that's actually the way it's looking for a lot of people. So we'll see who wins on Sunday. Another really tough game, man. And I just realize every time I click a new game how hard it is to do these predictions because everyone is difficult, including Tampa Bay playing the Colts. The Colts are scoring a lot of points. Tampa hung in there with the 49ers. The 49ers didn't really blow them out. It looked like that game was going to open up. Tampa Bay kind of hung in there a little bit. This is going to be an easier opponent with the Colts, but the Colts are at home and they've been scoring a lot of points, and they definitely got a good offensive-minded coach. And so how is it going to fare? How are the Colts going to be able to let's see. Well, they're going to be playing Tampa, and Tampa is ranked.
They're rough in defense.
They're ranked 31st in opponent passing yards per game.
Yeah.
Okay. So not a good sign. And then when it comes to passing yards per game, the Colts are ranked. Oh, it's Indianapolis, not Colts. I'm like looking for
where the fuck are they?
17th. So Indy's, even without, losing Anthony Richardson, they're still averaging 218 passing yards per game. That's not, that's decent. That's more than really what Denver's been doing with Russell Wilson. And I'm like, well, how are they scoring so much then? Well, then I look at their running game and they're 10th. So they're getting 118 yards per game. Indianapolis as an offense they're scoring more points than 80% of teams in the NFL, maybe 85% of teams. And they're very balanced, and they're not great at one thing, but they're good at passing and they're good at rushing. So this is going to be a Tampa Bay defense that's going to have their hands full, 31st in passing. And then as far as their rush defense, Tampa's 6th. So I think Tampa, their best chances of winning is stopping the run, playing good run defense, and then maybe trying to get the Colts to throw more than they're used to. But I don't know. I'm gonna let you go now. Maybe you can talk me into somebody.
Yeah, and I agree with what you're saying with that stuff with Tampa. I think another big thing is kind of what Southpaw is saying here. Not only can Minshew put up a lot of points, they're 9th in scoring this year in the NFL, but he also costs his team a lot of points. So those points you made about Tampa, how they have to go about this to win, you got to add in there. Can they turn the ball over? Can they get those interceptions? Can they get those strip sacks from Minshew? Because that's going to be huge. That's going to play into their favor, hopefully, and in the Colts territory too, if they can, manage that, because they can then get field goals. They can possibly get touchdowns. Like that's what they have to win. They have to win the turnover battle because the number 9 scoring offense, and the way their defense is played this year, the Bucks, it's bad. It is bad. It's looking like it's just going to be kind of like a Colts blow up, like we're gonna fucking kill you type of game. And for the most part, it will be. I think the Colts are going to win 30-20 against this Tampa Bay Bucks team. Like I said, they score a lot of points. And while the Tampa Bay, I think, run defense is pretty good, I think late in the game when they're already kind of beaten down, I think they're going to be able to kind of blow the game up even more. You're going to see Zach Moss or even Jonathan Taylor get a ton of yards in that fourth quarter to kind of bring the time down, really seal the win there for the Colts. Oh God, Baker's going to have a very, very tough time against this Colts team. And really, it's not that he's having a bad season against teams. It's just he beats himself, man. He really does beat himself this season. So I'm going with the Colts in this one at home.
All right. I'm gonna go with Tampa Bay here. Now I do need the Colts to lose. So that's all. That's it. Yeah. That's why, because the Colts are 5-5, Denver's 5-5. And the Colts are back to 500, but as you can see in the bottom, their wins came from the Panthers and the Patriots. So even though you got two teams that are 5-5, I'm still looking at it like, okay, you beat the Panthers and the Patriots, the two worst teams in the NFL right now. So I don't know how much I'm, I don't know how much I'm sold by those wins. Strength of competition is just not that great. So
no, not at all.
I'm gonna go ahead and say that Tampa Bay is gonna be able to handle the Colts and
care.
And then the Colts are going to fall to 5-6, and the Broncos are going to move up another spot in the playoff prediction. Sorry, Ginger, I had to do it.
Browns. Fully focused as Browns.
Damn it. No, that's who Denver's playing. We'll get there. I didn't know. Now we got a Browns fan in here. I love it.
Yeah.
Obviously, you see that I'm a Browns fan too.
Totally.
So we had a Super Bowl rematch on Monday Night Football with the Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles. We get another awesome Super Bowl rematch. This is going to be insane. We don't know who's going to win. Is it going to be the Belichick-led Patriots, or is it going to be Mike Tomlin and the New York Giants with Michael Strahan and Eli Manning? This game is going to be insane. I look at this game, I think, okay, it's Tommy DeVito, and it's a man with double the size balls of a regular man, Brian Dabble. And this game, I'm going to go ahead and say that this Super Bowl, the one that happened in 2008, the final score was 17-14. I'm going to say it's the same score in the same result. Giants win 17-14.
I love it. Is Tommy DeVito a star, Kyle?
He's got more touchdown passes than Kenny Pickett on the year.
He is the star for the Giants this season, and that's it. He's not a star, but he's going to get his second win in a row. I've got the Giants winning 17-10. He throws for another touchdown in this game. Saquon Barkley rushes for another touchdown this game. And yeah, the Patriots and Zappy, Mac Jones, whoever the fuck you want to throw in there quarterback, they suck. This game, honestly, when you look at it as a whole, is absolute dog shit. Sorry, Bill.
Maybe
but
not,
hey,
though. The Giants scored 31 points last week.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but I don't know.
What
man.
if Tommy DeVito's good?
What if he is good?
If he's good, I'm drawing a mustache on my face.
What if Tim Boyle, Tommy DeVito, Drew Lock? What if all these guys are so good? But Bill, I'm giving your Giants the win this week against a horrible Pats team. Go Giants.
Go Giants. And I do have a new announcement to make, which is, God. I guess every announcement's new. But there is a girl, her name is Ashley, and she is a diehard Giants fan. Here's a picture of her. And
Nice.
she is going to come on the podcast. We're going to interview her. I was going to try to do it on Friday because that's her availability. But she's subscribed to the channel. She's going to be
awesome.
she's going to be in the comment section. And I think Bill's especially going to love the fact that she is a big Giants fan and she loves football. So shout out to Ashley and look forward to seeing her on the channel, and hopefully the Giants get the win because now we got multiple Giant fans in the family.
Tuning in. I love it. That would be awesome to do.
All right. So after that, do you got anything else on that game?
No. 17-10 Giants win.
Oh, well, come on. You couldn't even agree with my score?
No, the Patriots are barely going to score, dude.
Okay. That's
trash.
Fair. I'm right. Rick's wrong. Same score, same Super Bowl since 2008 Super Bowl. It's going to be awesome. Can't wait to tune in and stream it. Our next game is going to be my game of the week.
Yes.
I'm going to do this in the Tom Grassi voice. You got the Carolina Panthers at Tennessee Titans. Okay, no, this is not my game of the week.
No, it's not. I was like, no way.
This is my ugly of the week. This is my don't tell anyone. don't tell my friends that that's the girl that she's big boned. Leave her alone. Carolina Panthers going to Tennessee right here where I'm at, right in Nashville. The weather's been nice. It's a little cold, but it's a good cold. It's not too cold. Weather shouldn't be a factor. Carolina is awful. I'm going to take Tennessee.
Yeah,
how it's going to go for the rest of the season, by the way. Carolina's awful. Yeah. Give me whoever they're playing.
I'm literally doing the same thing. By the way, shout out E-Dub. What's up, man? He's in the
E-Dub!
chat.
Oh, yeah. Got the whole crew in here.
We got everybody in here. Love it, love it, love it. Make sure to comment because we love it. The Titans. I'm taking the Titans, man, and I'm taking them to win relatively big, 21-10. The Panthers suck. The Titans offense sucks, but their defense is just that much better. Like that much, like as big as, I don't even want to say it, but that much better than the Panthers. I'm hoping Will Levis has another good game. Kind of like he did when his breakout game, right? Like 4 touchdowns or whatever. I think he's going to connect with DeAndre Hopkins a couple times in this game. It should be a snoozer, I think, of a game, really. I mean, 31 points we're looking at total scored in my prediction. I don't think it's one of those games you're just going to have on in the background, and Red Zone will maybe go to it every once in a while, and then you're going to be like, oh shit, the Titans won, I guess. That's cool. And that's kind of how this game is going to go. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's exactly how it's going to go.
Okay. I don't care.
Yeah, I've never cared.
Yeah. And no fault. And then Crafty said, who would have expected that the Pats and Titans would be the 2 worst teams in the AFC? Mm-hmm. Well, that was actually Rick's prediction before the season started. He said that Tennessee and Carolina were going to be the worst teams in the NFL. So everybody put a dog shit in the chat for Rick.
Dog shit in the chat for me, boys.
Carolina, they got a lot of work to do. Not sure when a team's this bad, you never know if you have the coach, unless you're the Lions, because we knew Dan Campbell was the guy even when they were losing a lot, right?
I mean, I had my doubts last season at some point when they were in there. Well, remember they were in their losing streak, and I was like, dude, that's it. Dan Campbell experiment is over. And then the Ford family said, no, we're sticking with Dan. And that must have been more than enough for Dan to just be like,
it takes time, man.
It does. And I'm one of those guys, we call it a Rick here now, that where you live in the moment and you're just like, that's it, it's over, or they're going to win. That's it. They're playoff team, shit like that.
And Derrick Henry, just 2 games of 100 yards this season. He only had 38 yards last week against the 34-14 loss to the Jaguars. Tannehill will be back on the Titans active roster, but Will Levis will remain the starter. So maybe Derrick Henry finally is able to get going. He hasn't been able to do anything when it comes to running. And the Carolina Panthers, as far as run defense goes, which is something I'm looking at because I have Derrick Henry on my fantasy team. Carolina's 24th. They're giving up 129 rushing yards per game. And in their last 3, they're ranked like 10th. So in their last 3, they've given up 106. So you have seen some improvement from Carolina, but still over 100 yards. So I'm going to make a prediction that Derrick Henry is going to have a 100-yard game in this game. But I still think Chris Olave turns out to be the better decision. But it's going to be one of those where it's like, you got a guy with 20 points on your bench. And it's like, who did you want me to take out? Breece Hall or DeAndre Swift? Fuck you.
Yeah.
Especially with the inconsistency. And this is kind of a part of, fantasy football. But I'm going to bring it up every time we talk about the Titans. But I'm gonna take Titans. I think they at this point, I believe in their coach more. I believe in the home team more. I think that they're going to be looking to get a win. They kind of need this after playing some really tough opponents. And Will Levis, this is going to be his like confidence building game. And I think he's going to have it. I think Tennessee wins, and I don't think it's like 12-13 or something. I think Tennessee wins this game. I'm going to say like 13-24.
Oh, okay. Okay. I like it.
A nice, clear and concise, never a doubt about it type of win.
Okay. Yeah, I can definitely agree with that one. Like, yeah, it'll probably be like, I don't know, at one point it'll be 14-10, but then the Titans will score their 3rd touchdown and it'll be like, yeah, I didn't expect anything else.
Exactly. You're like, yeah, whatever. Anyway, next. And that's what we'll do here. We'll hit the next button for you guys. Our next game is another good one.
Nail biter.
Arizona played Houston really close last week. The Rams beat Seattle at home. However, Arizona being the home team, the Chargers going on the road. Now, keep in mind that as far as distance and time goes, this is like a 1-hour flight. This is not going to be like, jet lag or anything like that. But you do have the crowd in your favor. But I don't think it's going to be that big of a deciding factor. Kyler Murray has improved Arizona immediately. Matthew Stafford also coming back improves the Rams. This is a tough game, but I think I'm going to go with the Rams actually to win this one.
Oh, I have to disagree. I think I'm going to go Cardinals here. The more dynamic, God damn it, the more dynamic change you've seen in the offenses has been with Kyler Murray coming back to the Cardinals. And
Kyler Murray's 1-6 since being drafted against the Rams.
Whatever, dude. I don't even give a shit. I don't even care about this game. Another NFC West division battle. I think he gets his second win, dude. I really do think he gets his second win. These two teams had really good games last week. The Rams, obviously, with the win. The Cardinals, tough loss against the Texans. I think the Cardinals at home are going to be just a little bit better. And let's remember, this isn't the Cardinals of old with their now fired ex-coach. What was his name? Something. It's not that anymore. It is not that anymore. I think the Cardinals are going to win. Yeah, because I think it's Steichen now, right? Their head coach.
No.
Well, that's the Colts.
Yeah. I'll pull it up.
Yeah. Regardless, I think the Cardinals have a bit more of a dynamic offense in this case against the Rams. It just really does come down to the defenses. It really does come down to defense. Who's going to let up the most points? Like, that is my basis on this game. And I think the Cardinals defense does just a little bit better against an old, aging Matthew Stafford. I don't know if Cooper Kupp is back either. And Kyron Williams, who's been their best running back, has been injured. So I'm going Cliff Kingsbury. There we go. I'm going Cardinals at home. In Thailand. I love it.
I love that that's what his move was. Like, I got fired. I'm out of this country. Bye, bitches. Like, thanks. I'll take my I'm going to take my knots in cash. They can never tie me down. That stacks.
Gannon. There we go. Rich Gannon. Or not Rich Gannon, but Gannon.
Rich Gannon. Whoa.
That would have been
That would
rough.
have been, yeah, that would have been, oh, God, I think he's like 60. Are you sure you want to go with him? We got John Elway.
We got John Elway back here if you want it.
John Elway definitely did not keep himself in football shape. Every time you see him, you're like, bro, stop drinking. Please. We love you. He just looks like he's aging too fast. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And Bill, I would totally do the same thing. When I was a Broncos or blah, blah, blah. What did I just say?
When you were a Broncos?
No, wow. I was thinking when I like lived in different places, I would always figure out like who's the closest stadium to me. And then I would check my schedule to see like, oh, does Denver play in that city? Especially in Florida, I'd be like checking the Dolphins, Tampa Bay, and Jacksonville because you got 3 football teams there. But I can understand thinking that Kyler Murray's gonna come out and have a good game, but I have more faith in Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford, quite frankly. And Arizona doesn't have a good defense. The one good thing that they have on defense is Budda Baker. And I actually tweeted about that today with Kareem Jackson getting suspended. I was like, oh, it's too bad you guys didn't go after Budda Baker when he said when he demanded a trade. Because that would be, imagine that piece next to Justin Simmons.
That'd be sick.
Oh my God, dude.
Disgusting.
But they didn't do it. Arizona kept him. And that was smart for Arizona because he's a piece that you can build a whole team around. I just don't think that they have those pieces yet to slow down Matthew Stafford and, Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp. They have more weapons, I think. Even the running back, I think he's still got football left in him. The one out of Oregon, what is his damn name? He was an Oregon Duck.
I can't remember.
Shit.
Oh shit.
Okay, so it'll come to me. It was.
So will I.
What? Okay, here it is. I got a full list of running backs that have been drafted since 1936. Let's go ahead and forget about 1936. Here we go. This was around 2000, I think, 18. Yep. Here it is. No, I just saw it. Hold on. It's 2019, 2018. Royce Freeman. Royce Freeman, who is now with the Rams. And I think he could still be a factor in the football game, especially on the road. So I don't know how much playing time he's going to get, but I'm going to go with the Rams here. I trust them more than the Cardinals. But I do think if this was Kyler Murray's first game back, I would be inclined to go with the Cardinals just because it's like that momentum, kind of like how Cam Newton won his first game back with Carolina and was like, or I think he lost actually, but he did score and stuff. And it was like they almost won. I don't know. I'm taking the Rams. So we've disagreed on like every game.
Almost every game. I mean, the Giants, we agreed. The Titans, we agreed. The Colts, I think we disagreed. But so far, not bad. I think we're going to agree on the next game, though.
Oh, shit. Oh, God. I'm nervous. I'm nervous to pull it up. And I'm going to do it right now. Rick, our next game is the Cleveland Browns going to the Mile High Stadium to take on the Denver Broncos. My beloved Denver Broncos. They're on a 4-game winning streak. They beat the Packers, they beat the Chiefs, they beat the Bills, and then they beat the Vikings. Vikings, Bills, Chiefs, last 3. Two of which are the best AFC teams. The other one was the hottest team in the NFL and the NFC. Denver getting the job done. Now in comes a Browns team that's won 5 of their last 6, and they don't have a quarterback, but they didn't have one last week, and they continue to win. A lot of people that I've been talking to, or I don't know if it's just like trolls, but a lot of people are taking the Browns to win this game. I think Denver at home. I'm gonna go with the Denver Broncos. And look, the Broncos starting the season 1-5. They've had their tests and trials.
They've definitely gone through some tests, gone through some trials,
and they came out on the other side of it better And I still think watching the press conference after the win over the Vikings, Sean Payton looked like we lost. He was like, no, this wasn't good enough to win. He's like, luckily our defense got 3 takeaways. Otherwise, we don't win this game. And he credited the defense for stepping up in the fourth, but he's right. You got to look at this with you got to take your Broncos glasses off and say, look, they're winning games, and that's awesome. But is the way they're winning games, is it realistic to think that it can continue to happen? Now, I do think there's something contagious about takeaways. And if you actually watch, Denver's always punching the balls out. They're flying around. They're kind of getting this identity. They're tied with the most takeaways, and they've gotten all their takeaways in the last 3 games.
Jeez.
Or like 99% of them. That's
insane.
They have 12 takeaways in their last 3 games. 12.
Jesus.
So I do think that's going for them. They're at home. I'm going with the Denver Broncos, but I'm a little nervous about this one, to be totally honest. And we don't have Kareem Jackson. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but that is definitely a guy that is really, really important. PJ Locke would be his replacement. However, he didn't practice and he didn't play. He was inactive last week. So it would be J.L. Skinner who takes the place. We drafted him out of Boise State. He's another tall, lengthy guy.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's ready to play yet. That's the issue. Luckily, they don't have a quarterback that's going to be slinging the football, but they're going to be running. And if we were playing a team that's really great at passing, maybe that scares me a little more. But Kareem Jackson, what he was really best at is running up and making those type of hits that keep getting him kicked out. Yeah. And that really, it helps with the running game more than anything. And Cleveland's going to be looking to run the football and play good defense and control time of possession. And for a running football team, Cleveland's really good at converting on third down. Most running teams are, because they're in third and short, which means that a lot of times they really can dominate time of possession. And you may be thinking, well, Denver has been winning ever since they run 30 times and limit Russell Wilson to throwing it less than 30 times.
Yeah.
The issue with that is that you also don't want to become predictable. So if you run it every time on first and second down, then they're just going to, go all out to stop the run. And then eventually you get the ball, in third and 10, you can't convert, you punt it. And that happens 2-3 times. Now you're throwing it on first down. You've made yourself one-dimensional. When you want to be balanced, it's a true art to try to be able to, and that's why you saw Denver running those quick throws to the receiver. They're like, well, if we can't run the ball, we'll do a play that is kind of like a run, even though it's a throw. And you see Sean Payton trying to find creative ways, and I think that's going to help a little bit. But I am worried about Cleveland and their defense, and I think everyone should be. They're the number 1 defense in passing yards allowed per game, number 1 in the NFL. And that's bad news for Russell Wilson. And that's bad news for these people. And you look at it and you're like, why? It's because Myles Garrett is the defensive player of the year. I don't even think it's that close. There's some other good players, but Myles Garrett's kind of running away with it. And then Cleveland also is top 10, actually 11 in stopping the run. So I think if you're going to have success on Cleveland, Denver's going to have to run the football effectively. And I'm going to take them to get the job done at home.
I like everything you said, and I especially like these comments here. Edub is saying Browns will frown, book it. Crafty Southpaw is saying Payton's impact on the team is finally starting to emerge.
It's a process.
You just said, right? The Browns have the best passing defense in the NFL. The Broncos don't have a prolific passing offense. And we've talked, you just said it about, Russ Wilson and passing it for like almost 200 yards, under 200 yards, whatever it may be. He really doesn't go past a lot of attempts and a lot of yards. He makes them count, though. Those yards, those 189 yards, those 200 yards, like he makes those count. You saw what he did, what the touchdown he threw to Cortland Sutton. You saw his pass plays last week against the Vikings. He made those count. And I think regardless of how many yards the Browns are giving up per game through the air, I don't think that's really going to take a lot in this game. Like Russ Wilson is doing what he needs to do when he needs to do it in terms of the passing game. I need to pass. Okay, I'm going to get the 8 yards here. Bam. I'm going to get the first down here. Bam. And then I'm just going to let Javonte Williams and the other guy, Jaleel McLaughlin, do what they need to do. I'm going to hand it off on an end around to Jerry Jeudy and get 7-8 yards there on what is technically a rush, but is not up the middle, up to the right, a toss, anything like that. The Browns defense, very, very good, but very beatable regardless, right? Like no matter how good they are, you are going to be beatable. These are 2 NFL teams going up against each other, right?
Yep.
The Browns do not have a quarterback they can trust. DTR, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, had a great emotional game last week. He won his first start ever. And yeah, he won. That was an awesome moment. But they went up against the Steelers. And the Steelers also don't have a good offense. That was before Matt Canada was fired. So the level of competition on the offenses wasn't really there. The Broncos defense has played a lot better as of late. So I'm still going to take the Broncos at home to win their 5th consecutive game this year and go above 500 for the first time this year. I'm taking the Broncos, and I'm taking them 24-13. They're going to win by 11 points at home against this Browns team. Myles Garrett may have a good game, but not good enough. Cortland Sutton, 2 touchdowns.
No way. No. Are you serious? It's fucking awesome.
We got JST.
JST, what's up? Yeah, dude. I'm so excited for this game. It feels good to actually be like in football games now that are important, right?
Yes.
Like Cleveland in the hunt.
Feel nice.
That's an important game. And then next week against Houston, you know, especially if Jacksonville wins, they're gonna be pissed off and they're in the hunt. So we got ourselves like some really good, like who would have thought Broncos Texans? That's going to be one to circle. You know what I mean? That week 13 matchup between the Broncos and Texans is going to mean something. People would have been like, dude, get this guy out of here. He's so high. You know what I mean?
And not only that, but week 14 against the Chargers, like depending on like the Chargers don't look great right now, but that's still a very important game for the Broncos to win. If they win the next 3 games, they're on a 7-game win streak and they are 3 games above 500. And now it's looking like playoffs, wild card, 100%.
I don't even know how we got here, but I'm not complaining. I'm not complaining.
JST for sure.
JST had perfect timing because we're going to talk about this right now. Kansas City going to Las Vegas to play the Raiders. This is a divisional game. Kansas City. I'm going to call it right now. Travis Kelce's going to have 125 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Travis Kelce's going to go off in this game because he's not happy about the drop pass and the fumble on the goal line. You could make a real, I mean, the drop pass didn't matter because they ended up converting on Travis Kelce actually on the next play conversion. But still in his head, like it wasn't good enough. He was really mad that in the press conference in the locker room, he was really pissed off. They were like, did this game mean a little extra? And he's like, no, you know, like just get the fuck out of my face, basically. And I think Kansas City's going to come in really angry. And I think this is when the Raiders are going to start kind of coming down to earth. 2-game winning streak. Now you can call it 2-2 under AP for the Raiders.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with that. The Chiefs they right in front week 12, they have a get right game against the Raiders. 100%. Like you said, the wide receivers, not even just Travis Kelce, they're going to be pissed about all the dropped passes, the fumbles. They're going to get mad about all of that happened last week against the Eagles. And they are going to have a great game as a collective. You're saying Travis Kelce has 2 touchdowns. I think overall, wide receiver wise, they're going to have 3 touchdowns, total for wide receivers. And again, they're going to get angry because of what happened. The Raiders, on the other hand, the honeymoon, I think, is going to be over with AP. They're going to lose their 2nd game in a row after winning twice and, kind of having that like really nice feeling in the locker room. You got rid of McDaniels, you got rid of your GM, you got rid of your offensive coordinator, all of which together was not working well. Now you're going to have some adversity. AP and this Raiders team is going to have a bit of adversity. And depending on how AP handles this adversity of losing their 2nd game in a row, which I've got the Chiefs winning 27-13, is going to depend on what the next step with AP will be for the Raiders. They're going to lose their second game in a row. They're going to face some adversity. Can they overcome? What's going to be said in the media? What are they going to do? Will AP get hired on as a coach later on the season? This is going to be one of those first evaluation periods for him. What do you do after 2 games in a row that you lose? Bam, evaluation. Let's see what they do. Fundamentals. But I think the Chiefs go on to win this division matchup.
Yeah, and another thing, the Chiefs lead the league with 26 drop passes so far this season. And another thing,
that's insane.
This is the craziest stat. If this was Denver, people would be asking for Sean Payton to be fired. Listen to this stat. 3 games in a row, the Chiefs don't have a single point in the second half.
Yep.
Like, that is a serious. That's not like, oh, we're past the speed bump. Like, you don't score any points in the second half for 1 game. That's a speed bump. 2 games, it's a problem. 3 games, all right, we need to get back to fundamentals. Like 26 drop catches, not good. In a way, I do think that the Chiefs' problems are fixable because drop passes are fixable. Fumbles are fixable. And I think they have the leadership and the people around to make sure that happens. Chiefs are going to win this game. They're going to, I don't know if they're going to roll the Raiders, but I think they win by more than a touchdown.
Yeah. I mean, I'm getting them 27-13. So that's 14 points. And I think they score 10 points finally in the second half. Like they're going to get their 10 points in the second half, I think.
Dude, they better. Like they better. They can't just keep doing this. I'm really pumped about this next game because we got a really good game. Now, this game should have been flexed to prime time. It's kind of bullshit that it wasn't. This is going to be awesome. We got the Buffalo Bills taking on the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yes.
The Philly coming off, you could call it a great win because it's Kansas City. But not really that great. They didn't look awesome. They looked, they were losing at halftime. They had to overcome a 10-point deficit to win the game. They did it. But Buffalo's coming off a big win against a bad opponent, but they fired Ken Dorsey. And we just don't know much about the Buffalo team yet. Under a new offensive coordinator, Buffalo scored the most points, I think. They scored all season in their first week, but they weren't playing the Eagles. And this game's going to be in Philly. It should be a Sunday Night Football game. It's not, but I'm taking the Eagles. I just spit everywhere. I'm taking the Eagles. I just can't pick again. The Eagles are so talented. Now, this is the kind of game, though, that Buffalo, if they can win, they can get back into the playoffs immediately. 100%. This is a season-altering game for Buffalo. Here we are talking about all these playoff games. Here's a playoff game. Buffalo at Philly, needing a win to keep their playoff hope. Not really. Like, they could lose this game and win the rest and probably still make it. But if you lose this game and then you put yourself in a situation where there's 7 games and you can only lose 1 and you're, just figuring out who you're going to be under new leadership, I think that's a lot to ask. So because of that, I feel like it's a must-win game for Buffalo.
Yeah, and I agree. This game is like the Eagles coming off that big win against the Chiefs, the Bills coming off another big win and trying to get back on track, trying to get back in the good graces of sports media, of football media, honestly, right? NFL media, like they got to get back in the good graces because they look like shit. Right? Like for outside of last week and the couple games earlier in the season, they've looked bad. They have looked really bad. But we saw what the Chiefs were able to do against the Eagles last week, and that is run the ball. You saw Pacheco go up the middle. You saw him bounce to the outside. This might be a game in where James Cook for the Bills has a very, very good, effective game. The only thing I think is they're going to still try to win the game through Josh Allen. Josh Allen's got some legs too on him, so don't forget about that. They might be able to have a very good rushing game against the Eagles, and this is going to be a high-scoring game. The Eagles know what they did last week against the Chiefs, and we're like, okay, there are definitely some things we need to improve on against these good teams defensively and offensively, right? If it wasn't for that drop catch by Marquez Valdes-Scantling, this might be a different tone we're talking about with the Eagles. So I think James Cook will have a big game, but the Bills are going to try to win it through Josh Allen. But at home, I'm taking the Eagles to win 34-31. This is my game of the week. Eagles win at home, and they just continue to cement themselves as the best team in the NFL, and they're going to go into the playoffs as the number 1 seed.
So are you sure that's the best team in the NFL?
Who else do we got?
Good question.
Yeah, the Ravens, the Chiefs, the 49ers, maybe the 49ers, maybe the Ravens, but they've both had their struggles, and their struggles do not compare to the struggles the Eagles have had. The Eagles at least have been winning. You've had the Ravens look like shit against the Steelers. You've had them look like shit against the Browns. You've had the 49ers look like shit for 3 games in a row against good teams, and we were scratching our heads like, what's going on here? The Eagles at least have been able to come out with dubs. Not pretty, but they've been able to come out with dubs, and that shows a lot of resiliency from a team that is not who they look like from last year.
Fair enough.
Bitch.
This is why I asked you that question, because our next game is maybe a game that I thought you might think, oh, that's the best team in the NFL. I know how you feel about this team. The Ravens go into Los Angeles to take on the Chargers. Now, this is Sunday Night Football, which I got to say, if you're not going to flex Buffalo, Philly, this is a great second game to watch. Right?
For the most part, yeah.
The Chargers are going to score points. The Ravens have a good defense. That'll be fun. Justin Herbert, man, he had, like you said, that was the loss last week. That is not Justin Herbert's fault. The defense had some problems under Staley. I think we all know that we are absolutely not allowed to ask that question. so we won't ask that question.
We got to bring this group together and do it consistently. Okay. And that's where it's at. So you can stop asking that question. Okay. I'm going to be calling the defenses. Okay. So we're clear. So you don't have to ask that again.
Hey, so we're clear.
On the defense.
I don't know, man. It's actually a toss-up. I'm not sure who's calling the defense for the Chargers.
I'm not sure, but he said to stop asking, so we guess we'll just never know. This is a bad situation for the Chargers, though, because they're at a point right now where they need to win just to keep the playoff hopes alive, and now in come the Baltimore Ravens, who are just fully rolling right now. I'm taking the Chargers.
Oh, fuck you, dude. At home?
I'm taking the Chargers at home. This is going to be a huge win, and this is my second upset of the week. I
love it as your upset. I really do, because the Chargers have been struggling.
At home 2 weeks ago. Came a
2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago. And what's been happening over the last season? We talked about the Chiefs wide receivers dropping a lot of balls and not being able to get those clutch moments. The Chargers wide receivers did that like 2-3 times last week. I can't see it not happening again this week against one of the tougher defenses in the league, in the Ravens. The Ravens, I think, are going to get a pick in this game. They're going to recover a fumble. I think they're going to win the turnover battle, which is going to be huge for this team against the Chargers. The Chargers defense, by the way, Lamar Jackson's going to have a hell of a day. They don't have Mark Andrews for this game, but that's fine. They've got plenty of other weapons. They got Gus Edwards running for multiple touchdowns week after week. They've got Aguilar on the team. They've got Zay Flowers. Like, they've got Lamar Jackson at quarterback, and that really does add to that team. It doesn't matter who they're going against. I'm taking the Ravens to win this. It's going to be somewhat of a close game, though. I'm taking them 31-23. They're going to win by just over a touchdown, or by, a touchdown, 2-point conversion, whatever you want to say. They're going to win 31-23 in this game. Staley is going to be on the hottest seat ever after this game, and probably in line for an in-season firing after this game.
I love this comment by JST. Best team in the NFL, there's a team called the Broncos. They beat the Chiefs, Bills, and Vikings.
Yeah. Of course, Kyle loved it.
I love that comment because it's just such a great comment, because he has a point. You know what I mean? We're talking about all these other teams. Meanwhile, Denver doesn't crack Rick's top 10. Okay, so the Chiefs.
Why don't you tell me how you really feel, Kyle? Why don't you tell me how you really feel?
The Chiefs losing to the Eagles. Ravens are a top seed. They control their own destiny. That's some good momentum. You don't want to be the team to lose the week after you claim that number 1 seed. So I think the Ravens, they're going to have a sense of urgency, but the Chargers have their whole season on the line, and they do play up to their competition. I saw another comment that said the Chargers do that, and they do. And I mentioned that last week when I picked the Packers, because they also play down to their competition. But I think this is going to be like a moment that we kind of take a step back and go, Justin Herbert's a really, really good quarterback, and it's a shame that he's being wasted. And I think this is going to be the kind of game where he's going to tear apart an offense that doesn't get tore apart. And I have the Ravens on my fantasy team. Like, I'm going to play them because I don't have anybody I'm willing to put in waivers for a new defense. But if I could have it my way or open up one more bench spot, I would definitely not want to start the Ravens this week. I think the Chargers are going to be able to score points. I think it's going to be a great game, though, and I can't wait to stream it with you guys. And that brings us to our Monday Night Football. You got another smackdown matchup between two of the league's NFC's best teams. I'm talking the NFC North. We got more Justin Fields. The Chicago Bears go on into Minnesota, who are coming off of a loss to the Denver Broncos. They're angry. Oh, who else is angry? I think the Bears had like a 2-score lead on the Lions and choked the whole thing away. I think the Bears are going to be angry too. And I'm telling you right now, this Vikings team, we got a little too high too quick. The Bears are going to win this game on the road.
Oh, man, that inspires some confidence in me, Kyle. The only thing is, I love the Bears. I love them. And you guys have seen me struggle watching them this year and last year. The Bears, talent-wise, they've got some players, both sides of the ball. They have got some players. You know, you got Sweat on the defensive side. You've got Jalen Johnson, Tyreek Stevenson. Why am I forgetting his name? But our safety, who's a dog. And then you got Justin Fields. You got Khalil Herbert, Roshan Johnson, DJ Moore, Cole Kmet. You've got some very productive guys on this team. The thing is, they're just getting fucked every week by the coaching staff. It's last week, it was the coaching staff to decide to play chicken shit football against the Lions when they were up 2-score, like you said. It was up to the coaching staff to just not have Montez Sweat in during very important drives against the Lions, right? Like, this coaching staff is screwing this team over like amazingly. It's just, they should have an award for how well they're fucking this up. But the Bears, talent-wise, they're good. They've got players. They can do this. It's just, what is the offensive coordinator? What is Getsy and what is Eberflus doing? That's what matters. Can they play to win? Can they play to not lose? Really is what the thing is. And I like this comment here by Bill. Bears president Kevin Warren might have Matt Eberflus and Ryan Poles on the hot seat. Bleacher Nation. You have to start asking those questions. Eberflus and Getsy and that entire coaching staff gone at the end of the year. Ryan Poles made some good moves, has drafted some good people. We'll see how that goes. I've got the Bears losing this, but I've got them losing it by 1 point. I've got them losing it 24-23 against the Vikings. The talent on the Viking side is good as well, and he's putting the Jordan jersey on. I love it, but the Bears are gonna play themselves out of a win again.
Nope, not this week.
You don't think so? You don't think so? I think so, dude. It's going to be tough for the Bears to get there. If they can get a fourth win, get one more win than last year. Awesome. Because we're still going to have the Panthers #1 overall pick. I just hope we still stay in the top 5. At this point, I can't really be mad. I want to see Justin Fields do well. I want to see DJ Moore do well. I want to see Herbert and Roshan and all these guys on the team do really well. But if they lose, am I going to be mad? At the time, yes. Overall, in the grand scheme of things, I probably won't be that pissed off. Yeah, I've got the Vikings at home by 1 point.
Fine.
fine.
I put on Vikings colors.
I love it.
Oh, I played the Vikings too close to wear it. Isn't it funny how the Bears and Broncos are like prime time, Vikings. Like, it's
Yeah,
like they're
yeah.
just like somehow always connected in a way. Nice,
Always.
E-Dub. Vikings miss a big field goal late, and Bears will win, but barely. And
That would be a good one.
I think so too. I think and I tried to say this. I thought that Joshua Dobbs did like that one touchdown pass was like very Patrick Mahomesy. It was like he ran around, he was getting tackled, he was getting sacked, and then somehow like that's how Mahomes plays football. However, he is not Mahomes. I want to be clear that just because you do something that looks like somebody does not make you that person. And we need to kind of pump the brakes a little bit. Like Brian Flores has got the defense going. The Bears are going to have a lot of opportunities to throw the ball because of how much the Vikings blitz higher than any percentage of any team in the NFL.
Yes.
They're going to constantly be bringing pressure. I think DJ Moore is going to have 120 yards and 2 touchdowns. And I think that's going to be the game ball is going to go either they're going to have to cut it in half. DJ Moore, Justin Fields are going to have to split it.
Yeah, and Justin Fields to DJ Moore, that connection this season has been amazing. Amazing. We saw what they did against the Commanders. We saw what they did against the Raiders, or not the Raiders, but a couple other games. And even last week, like he looked good.
Commanders.
No, last week against the Lions, even, right? Like those were good games that they had together. So this connection is working. It just needs to continue, and we'll see how that continues, I guess.
All right. Well, I hope you guys disagreed with everything that Rick said, because that means you agreed with most of what I said. You got Rick picking the Minnesota Vikings to come home and beat the Chicago Bears. I think I know what you're doing. About 4 weeks ago, he picked the Commanders on a Thursday night, and the Bears won. And then you've been picking the Bears again, and they've been losing. So I
don't think I picked the Bears.
I understand the madness. I understand the recipe you're going for.
I'm a fan.
And I can appreciate the superstitions. He's like, I didn't pick the Bears last week.
I swear to God I didn't, even though there's clear video evidence that I did.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for us to go into a new segment. It's not really going to be a segment week in and week out, but it is a topic around the NFL that is becoming increasingly more of a debate. And then there's going to be a video that's played. And it's a little bit long, 3 minutes, but I did think that every single word was very important today. The Denver Broncos had press access, as they normally do on Wednesdays. And they asked Justin Simmons about the hit that got Kareem Jackson suspended. And just for a little context, Denver lost Kareem Jackson for 4 games because of a hit that took place. There was no flag thrown. And then meanwhile, Courtland Sutton got a clear head-to-head injury, and they did throw a flag, but there was no fine or suspension. So Justin Simmons is kind of alluding to some of the inconsistencies with the refs and with the way things are being called right now. So with that, I will show you this video.
I made a tweet or an X, I don't know what you call it, but I made a post on X, and I wasn't trying to single out the Bills player. I don't even know, his name, but I was just trying to prove that, like, there's no consistency in what's being asked of us as defensive players, and it's costing guys in some aspects. You're talking about Kareem, like a little bit of his reputation. I mean, the fact that he's going to miss the next 4 games in a crucial part of our season is unbelievable. And for a play that, if that's routinely going to be called, then why was it not called on that one play? Sure, they threw the flag, but we're going to throw the flag against the Bills and not fine them, and we're going to not throw the flag against Kareem but fine them and then also give another 4-game suspension. Like, there's no – and then I literally copy and pasted the quote from Kareem's suspension, Rule 12, Section 10, whatever it was. It says, keep your head off the, head or neck, shoulder area of a – this is literally by definition what that player did. in Buffalo to Cortland. By definition, head down, hit the bottom of the base of his face mask. You saw Court's head pop back a little bit, and the flag was thrown, but there was no discipline afterwards. And then all we get told is stay off the head or neck area. And I'm not attacking like the NFL. I'm not attacking the officiating. I'm not trying to sit up here and, you know, that's not the intent. The intent is if you're actually trying to help us get better, what are the coaching points? How are we going to get better? What are the ways that you're going to help us to apply that? Because if we're just going to slap fines on guys and slap suspensions, and then when they come back 4 games later and nothing's changed, that's not our fault. We're trying our best to adapt to the rules while we're in the game. And it's just hard to unlearn something you've done for 14, 13 years in the league, specifically talking about Kareem. And so, I mean, we got guys that have banners hanging up here. We have guys that have banners hanging up in the Hall of Fame that have played tremendous ball in this league. And we praise them every single year. During the Super Bowl, you know, we have the top 100 of all time. And there's guys that are literally praised for those types of hits in our game. And I just – it hurts my heart, man, because anything that I am as a player, I said this last time, is because of Kareem. And that's another thing I'm upset about, is because we preach that players' mental health is important. And we preach that how important that is to us. But then we're telling a guy who's been nothing but great to this organization since he's been here and has helped so many people, hey, stay away. Like, not only are you suspended, but you can't help the young guys. You know, you can't help prep a younger guy coming up that might have to get extra snaps because now you're down. You can't be around the facility. I mean, thank God Kareem has a family and people that can love on him, because if this was a younger guy, you're basically sending him back home, and who knows what trouble he could get into. It's just like anything in life, I guess, for that matter. But in terms of football, like, you know, if I'm told to get my job done and I ask how to get my job done and the response is just get it done, okay, I'll try my best, but yeah.
That was Kareem Jackson suspension, and there's a lot of that I agree with, and I do think a little bit of what's happening with Kareem is just a trend, right? If you're like, if there's a trend of you speeding and you get pulled over for going, you know, let's say 4 over, 5 over, you may get a ticket if the cop pulls your name up and there's a ton of warnings, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But at the same time, I just don't know how realistic it is to tell a player to in a game that is moving faster than it looks on TV. You know what I mean? It's going way faster. Like, we watch it on TV, but these are athletes that run a 4.2 40-yard dash that
I
are
was
going
on the field for one.
Yeah, it is insane. It is insane, dude. The like tight ends look like linebackers. Linebackers look like giants.
Yeah,
it's just crazy to be out there. The kicker is the only normal guy on every team. Like, the kicker's always just like, "What's up, Dave?" And I do think that there's not consistency. Like, why didn't that player that hit Cortland in the head get a fine? Why isn't he suspended? He did a way worse hit than Kareem did. And now in a game where we have Cleveland and Houston and the Chargers coming up, you're telling us that we can't have our starting safety. This is like the NFL, I feel like, stretching their hand a little too far in, and kind of actually in a way changing the outcome of the Broncos season. Like we don't win that game without Kareem Jackson against the Vikings. And now you're removing that player. And I think Justin's I think everything he brought up is kind of like just holding a giant mirror to the NFL, being like, hey, if you want to preach this, not just fines, you got to give us coaching points. Like, what are we actually supposed to do? A guy like Kareem, who's been in the league for 12 years, and now all of a sudden the hits that he's been doing his whole career now is getting him suspended. And then my favorite point was, like, we got banners, you know, in our own stadium. And we praise these guys: Brian Urlacher, Ray Lewis, Troy Polamalu, Ed Reed, Portis, like all of these guys that we praise because of the way they hit. And now in real time, you have somebody that grew up, like Kareem Jackson grew up in that era, And, now you're expecting him like on the fly. Hey, don't make that hit anymore. You'll get fined. And it's like, they don't like that he has his head down. I mean, I just, if you don't hit somebody in the head or neck area, I just don't know. Like, if you want to slow down, you're going to see that hit on every single hit. Like that.
Yeah.
It's one of those where, if you slow down any type of reception or drop ball, you can make a case for PI a lot of the times. It's like, you're going to find what you're looking for. And I think what everyone's upset about is the NFL is looking for Kareem Jackson to get suspended again, it feels like.
Yeah, I have to agree with everything he says, because I was a huge proponent of being like, the NFL is trying their best, right? Because two things can be true, right? We should not, or it's wrong to do what the NFL did to Kareem Jackson, suspend him on a play that there was no flags being called, flags being thrown, and he got fined. While also acknowledging that the NFL has not done an amazing job being able to say, hey, we're trying to protect players, which is a good thing, but you're not very clear on what, it says don't hit in the head or neck. Okay, cool. All right, but what are we doing? What are you guys doing for the players, for the teams, when something like that happens, to educate, to train, to prepare for things like that, right? Like you said, during all slow-mos on the NFL, you can see a hit that you're just like, oh my God, that was a bad one. And the player gets up, is fine, thankfully, right? But just like refs say, there's holding on every play. Well, there's those fucking hits almost every play, right? Like almost every tackle. Like, you cannot expect to not hit that way, and then you throw it back on slow motion and you're like, oh yeah, that was a helmet to helmet. Well, no shit, but these guys are running at each other at a ridiculous speed, something that, unless you've been on the field like Kyle or have played in the NFL, you really can't fathom what those speeds are and how hard they're hitting each other. So he made great points. The NFL is trying their best to stop injuries, because you don't want injuries in the game. You don't want something like DeMar Hamlin, something like any of the other guys have experienced on the field to happen. But again, you got to also do the work, NFL, to put it in training, put it in words, put it in, I don't know, the everyday running daily stuff or whatever of the NFL. And like you said, Simmons makes a lot of great points, and Bill said he made all good points. Both things are true. He makes good points. Don't do that, NFL, but the NFL is trying their best to limit injuries. It's just got to go it's got to be better communicated too.
Yeah, and one more thing too is like, I'm with you. Like, I'm for the NFL, trying to keep people safe. Mm-hmm. And there's like a fine line between like keeping the players safe, the players knowing the dangers of what they sign up for, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, it's not like you have to play in the NFL. Like, there are a lot of players. Florida State had a safety. He would have been a top 5 NFL draft pick. He was a genius. Maryland Rowe, I think.
Yeah.
And he ended up being a brain surgeon instead. You know what I mean? Like,
wow. I did hear about that. He was a lineman, right? You said?
He was a safety.
Oh, a safety. Okay.
But that's just an example. Like, nobody has to play in the NFL. Like, it is, I won't even say it's a privilege. It's a very dangerous job. And it comes with, serious consequences and life-changing effects and stuff like that. And nobody is, insensitive to that. But at the same time, you want to protect the integrity of the game as well, right? Because the game, you don't want to change the game. The game's perfect, but there's always room to make small improvements. But I think fines and suspensions,
it's not it.
It's not working. It's not working. And then it's also like you're picking and choosing what to do. This is the hit, by the way, that he was referring to. And I'll show you right. So that player doesn't get suspended. That player is good to go. And that's just not consistent. That was a much bigger hit and a bigger blow. And all we're doing is saying like, okay, NFL, like, you're going to have to be a little more consistent with the way that you're doing it.
Exactly. If you're going to be consistent with changing the rules every year, be consistent and concise and clear on how those rules are going to be applied in the everyday business of the NFL.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to point that out because, I thought it was very well spoken. I think when Simmons is done, he should definitely be on the player association side.
Player association, yes.
Because he definitely, he's all business, but he's a total professional and he's a great safety. And it's funny because Justin Simmons could easily be like, I'm not on Kareem's side because Justin doesn't hit the same way Kareem does. He doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
Even when he like lays people out, he does it kind of safely. Like it's weird. Like and you can tell Kareem's just always been like a fucking tank, like a small guy that has made his way in life by running full speed and just throwing his body, you know what I mean? And blasting people. And it's like, now we're saying, hey man, what you've done to get yourself to this point, don't do that anymore.
Exactly.
And it's like, well, what am I supposed to do? You can't teach an old dog new tricks. So it's going to be interesting to see how they roll with it.
Yeah. And I loved it because another thing, like he said, I'm not trying to come at the NFL. I'm not trying to come at the refs. I'm not trying to come at anybody. The Bills play,
please
right?
Don't come.
I'm not trying to come. But he was just, like you said, approaching this situation and how he said it in a very professional manner and just asking for consistency. I don't think that is in any way, sense, whatever, a bad thing to ask for consistency from the company,
your boss.
From your boss. Exactly. So he went at it a very, very professional way. He didn't get emotional about it, which can sometimes hurt people depending on what tone you're saying these things in. He didn't get emotional about it. Like you said it in a very, very clear, concise tone, was not emotional about it, and was very professional. So good on him for that.
All right.
So
it sounded a lot like Brady did in this video on fine suspension thing. I think something's coming to a head in the NFL. Rick, go ahead.
We're going to start with the little chives with Kyle. Bill, thank you for leading us into this segment.
Take a listen right here.
I think there's a lot of mediocrity in today's NFL. I don't see the excellence that I saw in the past.
Why not?
And
why not?
I think the coaching isn't as good as it was. I don't think the development of young players is as good as it was. The rules have allowed a lot of bad habits to get into the actual performance of the game. So I just think the product, in my opinion, is less than what it's been. I look at a lot of players like Ray Lewis and Rodney Harrison and Ronnie Lott and guys that impacted the game in a certain way, and every hit they would have made would have been a penalty. You hear coaches complaining about their own player being tackled and not necessarily, why don't they talk to their player about how to protect himself? We used to work on the fundamentals of those things all the time. Now they're trying to be regulated all the time. Offensive players need to protect themselves. It's not up to a defensive player to protect the offensive player. A defensive player needs to protect himself. I didn't throw the ball to certain areas because I was afraid players were going to get knocked out. That's the reality. Wow. I didn't throw it to the middle when I played Ray Lewis because you knock him out of the game, and I couldn't afford to lose a good player.
Really appreciate this.
There you go. That's the video that Bill was talking about. And Kyle, lead off the chives.
All right. So I got to say, I'm normally I like no matter what the topic is, I always want to be able to look back 10 years and be on the right side of, the argument. Or just the right side in general. Like what is the most humanitarian side, and for a while, with the movie Concussion and Will Smith and it was almost like the NFL, conspiracies with Kyle, here we go. I almost feel like the NFL pushed these movies and these narratives so that it gave them more of a green light to find people, to be totally honest. And that's just like, look, if a player breaks the rules, why does it have anything to do with finances? Like, I don't understand that at all. Like, I think if a player does something, the punishment should be that he can't play for the next week's game. Like, oh, he got a 15,000. Do you know how many fines happen on a daily basis that we don't hear about? Do you know
insane,
every
probably.
time they give a football to a fan, that's like a $10,000 fine?
It's ridiculous.
The NFL is just literally sitting down, literally looking at the game through the lens of how can we make as much money off these people as possible while they're already making billions off these people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's what I don't like. And I think looking back on it now, like, I think things are changing a little bit. And like Bill said, I think it's coming to a head. And I think there's kind of a shift going on where it's like, okay, the NFL, like, we know what you're trying to do. And look, I appreciate what you want to do, but you're going to need to do some things to bring a little clarity that this is not just something that's benefiting the billionaires, but it's actually the player's best interest in mind. Because as long as there's no consistency, then because Kareem Jackson, he got suspended because as soon as he made that hit, people were on Twitter talking about it. So the NFL's like, oh, we have to do it. You know what I mean? Like, you shouldn't be peer pressured into suspending a player for 4 games. And then the consistency is just something that's just not there right now. I mean, that hit that we saw to Cortland Sutton, forget about the Kareem Jackson one. The one to Cortland Sutton was actually terrible. Like, he could have been knocked out cold on the spot.
Yeah.
And he had the game-winning reception 2 minutes later. And we could have lost that key player, the only one that could have won us the game. So if you really think about it like that, how is that player not suspended with a much more violent pick or a much more violent hit? And I think that's just something that right now doesn't make sense, because Kareem Jackson's already violated. They're like, oh, okay, we got to show that we're being I guess, some kind of consistency with Kareem Jackson's punishments. But it's not about Kareem Jackson. It's about the league. It's about the NFL. And I don't think he did anything wrong. Like, if you look at the Kareem Jackson hit, his head was down, but he didn't hit anybody in the head area. He didn't. And in that play, Joshua Dobbs was lined up as a running back. So you want to pretend to protect quarterbacks that are lined up as a running back. Like, and that's why I always say, like, I hate when they run out of bounds. I hate when they get away with it, because I always want, like, if you want to act like a running back, we're going to hit you like a running back. That's how you get quarterbacks to stop pretending that they're running backs. You punish them. This is the mentality of the NFL. If you cross this fucking line, if you come across the middle, it'll be the last time you cross the middle all day. I can guarantee you that. Like, this used to be what we loved about the NFL, was like, I'm going to set a fucking tone. This is my defense. When you're playing the Pittsburgh Steelers, when you're playing the Cleveland Browns of the late 80s, when you play these teams, the Ravens of 2000, like the 49ers right now, like certain teams, man, they have an entire identity, and the NFL is trying to shift from that. And in turn, you're making the league soft. This is not a soft sport. This is the most violent, tough, competitive. Like, you break bones, you like, people are putting their lives on the line. It is a battlefield. There's more injuries that happen in the NFL on one Sunday than a lot of the U.S. military. We'll put it that way. You know what I mean? It is, I don't, how many times have we heard that, our friends tore Achilles and MCLs and PCLs and got concussions? You know what I mean? Like, it is so violent. And, and I understand that the NFL wants to be on the right side of it, but you can't soften the league. You can't soften the league. Now, the hits like to Antonio Brown that caused CTE, like knocking players out, like that kind of stuff should be punished. Like Bountygate, like I'm all for that. Like if you're like chopping at a quarterback's knees, anything that just looks like you're trying to hurt somebody, I'm against. That's not what the NFL is about. But sometimes in the process of playing good football, you unintentionally hurt somebody. That's not punishable. He knows what the risk is, and it's a violent sport. Yeah,
you get those bang bang plays that Kareem Jackson can't get out of the fucking way of a tackle. He's trying to make a tackle so they don't get a first down. So Josh Dobbs doesn't think about going to the left side of the line, running it past the line of scrimmage and trying to get a first down again. Again, those are the little things that feel like a lot of people look at as violent, or you're trying to hurt somebody. That's not the point. The point is to make sure that people tend to respect each other on the field. And one of those ways is hitting each other. That's what football is, man. It's hitting each other. Now, to go about it a way safer, the NFL has implemented a lot of things, and I love your conspiracy about, the NFL's put this out there, the little feeler movies, right? The concussion movies, so they could be like, now we can implement this, now we can implement that, now we can get fines. And Casey said that goes to retirement fund for NFL players. If it does, awesome. Again, we don't know. It's supposedly, right? Like, so we don't know. But I just, again, it's got to be clear. You've got to set some guidelines, and you've got to be able to communicate this to the players who are being suspended, who are being fined. Hey, man, this is what you did wrong. This is how we perceived it. This is in real speed. This is in slow-mo, shit like that. Like, I'm sure the players would appreciate that a little bit more. I mean, nobody likes to get money taken out of their pocket, but regardless, you're still like, those are dollars compared to the hundreds of dollars you're making, right? Like, if we're looking at it like that, still sucks. You know what I mean? Like, if I had $100 and somebody took $5 away from me, I'd still have $95, but it would suck to not have that 100. But what's his name? Justin Simmons made a lot of good points. Tom Brady made a lot of good points. I just think the more the NFL players or even past players start talking about it, and more the media starts talking about it too, then it's like, okay, this offseason, a lot of stuff is going to start to get resolved, just like last offseason.
Yeah, and in weeks 1 through 5, when Denver was giving up 70 points per game, it was like, oh my God, it's so frustrating. And then you watch the film and you see Kareem Jackson run up and make these hits. And as a fan, you're like, finally, like, let's go. And then he's suspended. And then you realize real quick, like, what side you're kind of on, because you're like no fan is like, I love this soft ass defense. You know what I mean? I love that they don't throw their bodies at them. Like, no one's saying that. Nobody's like, I love that they don't hit hard.
Yeah.
You know, like, everybody wants their team to be tough, physical, and hit hard. And fast.
100%.
That is like what everybody wants. And that's
defense.
That's defense. That's exactly right. And then when they do it, they get suspended. And it's just like, I don't know. I pretty much beat this.
I don't know anymore.
Death, but
yeah. No, and it was a good one. It's a good one about Justin Simmons and Tom Brady. We hope you guys enjoyed it as much as we do, because we are very passionate about this as fans. As a player, I'm sure it's even like you get more passionate about it, but as fans, you saw Kyle and I talk about it. But we love it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed today's episode, a little Thanksgiving special for you guys. If you guys missed it, we had some Thanksgiving history at the beginning of the episode, went right into our predictions, went right into what we were talking about. Now Kyle's doing the little wave with his body. So we've got it all today. Go. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Bill, KC, E-Dub, we had we had JST in here, Crafty Southpaw, a person by the name of, what was it, Focused Front or some shit like that. We had little E in here. Thank you guys to everybody. Ginger showed up. KC, we love all you guys for showing up and obviously supporting the podcast.
I'm definitely going to check out that video. I didn't see the one that you were talking about the one on McAfee, but I'll definitely check it out. And then I just can't. These are so. I gotta ask: can Taco Bell, Wendy's, KFC, Popeyes, Coca-Cola, Skull Candy, Nike, Adidas, New Era, more and more companies?
I think E-Dub wants all these companies to sponsor only football.
Oh,
what it is. Yeah.
You know how sometimes E-Dub will write random things. I thought he was giving us his Taco Bell order. I was like, wait a minute.
He's just giving us. He's giving us his top 50 companies of all time. I love it.
I love it. Seriously. Thanks for the comments. Thank you guys for the likes. Please, while we're still rolling, please like this video. Hopefully we got at least around 5 to 7 likes. Don't want to see this one go down with only 1 like. So please, if you can, hit the like button. And I can't wait to see you guys tomorrow. I made an X. It doesn't sound the same. I made a tweet, and I did say that I'll be streaming the first game and the second, or the first game and the third game. The second game, I'm going to enjoy Thanksgiving, and hopefully, if you guys are doing Thanksgiving, I totally get that. But if you aren't, we could watch some Seahawks 49ers. Hop on the stream. This is your family. And it's gonna be a good day. Hope you guys have a great Thanksgiving. I hope you eat the pie first. Always eat the pie first. Don't let them hold off until the turkey's gone. Eat the pie first, baby.
And if you're gonna eat the pie first, remember, always cut a square in the very middle of it to be an asshole. Be an asshole this
I've never
Thanksgiving.
done that. Fill the hole with whipped
asshole.
cream.
Yep.
Yes. Here we go.
Yes.
Cool Whip or whipped cream? What
Cool
goes on
Whip.
pumpkin pie?
Oh, Cool Whip. Cool Whip.
Cool Whip?
Yeah. Cool Whip.
Over
Whipped cream.
Over the spray bottle one?
Yeah. If you're giving me an option, I'm going Cool Whip every time, baby.
I've never complained one way or another, but I think I'm more of a I don't know what
Kyle likes to play with the tip. We got it. Thank you guys so much. We hope you have an awesome Thanksgiving. Hopefully you guys have a 4-day weekend. And if you work on Friday, quit that job. Not worth it. Not worth it at all. Always have a 4-day weekend on Thanksgiving week. Again, thank you guys so much for everything, for liking the video, sharing the video on Twitter, on YouTube, on goddamn Twitch. We love it. And we're going to keep bringing you more and more and more. We got an extra subscriber today. So thank you guys to everyone who subscribed. We're that much closer to 500 subs. Kyle, we're almost there.
We're almost there, buddy.
All right, Kyle. Well, it was a great time. Kyle, you have a happy Thanksgiving as well. And we've got football tomorrow.
KC pumpkin pie over pecan pie. See ya!